Defining Duke is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you maximize your savings with plans starting at just $15 a month. So I think it's time to make some business decisions, some cuts, and I'm really considering switching over to Mint Mobile to save myself some money. With that plan accompanies unlimited talk and text on a high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Duke. That's mintmobile.com/Duke. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Duke. Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. It's the start of a brand new year. I know a lot of us are sitting down analyzing our schedules, but are you taking a look at your routines? Most importantly, your cleanliness routines, right? We're gamers. Sometimes we get into those video game stories and we don't get out of our chairs and we start to smell bad. Well, Manscaped is here to help with an offer exclusive to Defining Duke listeners, where if you go to manscaped.com and use the code Duke for 20% off and free shipping. But for those of you out there who are looking to reduce the amount of nicks you get in your below the waist grooming, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is there to help you. So if any of this sounds interesting and you're ready to commit to your cleanliness, then go on over to manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Duke at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code Duke. It's a new year, no pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 54 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by the Daywalker himself, Lord Cognito.
Yo, what's up? Put your dukes up, Daywalking. We outside, back with another one. How you doing, Matty, man? How you feeling, man?
Oh, that's a great question for this episode, isn't it? I am feeling so well rested for all the wrong reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a big alarm guy. You know, it's 8 hours a night, no matter what. And the alarm's always set. I don't remember the last time I woke up without one. I made the mistake. You know, I thought I was sleeping a little bit. I went for 11:30. I didn't know it was on PM, right? So I woke up to a couple texts from Cog. I woke up feeling really well rested. I'm like, oh no, I knew. Oh no, right? Check my phone. It's about to hit 2. I'm like, oh shit. Out of bed I went. I sprinted, but feeling good, right? Feeling good. I told you I was feeling a little off at the same time because I didn't drink throughout that day, right?
Yeah, dehydration. It's real.
Here we are. So health is wealth. But we're going to be down a lot of water this episode. So
my man, smart.
Prepare to, like, anytime I pass the mic to Cog, you're going to see that bottle get unscrewed. But how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just juggling, man. It's been so much going on, and you know how it is. Like, as a content creator, and then at work, and so you got the hats, and you're just trying to navigate, right? You're trying to get that healthy balance where you're still able to do everything and respect and give proper time to the things that need be. Yeah. So the problem is it's the personal, because it's like, I just want to game all day. And, like, you got that little thing in your head, like, yo, you deserve it. You worked all them hours. You did this, you did that. You need to game. Forget responsibility. Just game. And then other parts like, Cog, you got this, you got that.
Angel and Devil on the shoulder.
Yeah, it's the internal struggle, brother. So it's like, I've been talking to a couple of friends about it. I'm like, yo, what's up? We haven't seen you on it. And part of me's like, no, Cog, sacrifice this. This will be your assigned day to do what you want, but take care of the business first. So that's where I'm at right now. Just juggling, just try to get that healthy balance.
Yep. I feel you on that, man. To everyone listening, thank you so much for lending us some of your time this week. Certainly, we have a pretty looted, well, not lewd quite, but loaded news report this week. For those who are patrons and maybe you missed it, we had Colin on for a pretty important chat about what we called the lurking shadow of Tencent for Defining Duke Ultimate, episode 50. Highly, 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 highly recommend this episode. I know we always recommend these episodes, but this one, I'm like ordering you. You got to get in there on this one. This is a great talk.
Yeah, that was important for the culture. And what I love about that discussion, I always feel like those difficult discussions sometimes bear the most fruit.
Mm.
And you look back and you say, you know what, this is important. Like people really need to pay attention. Colin
Yeah.
was on fire, you were on fire. I brought my little flavor to it. And yeah, I really liked it, man. I didn't get a chance. I gotta go back and listen to it. So look, everybody, Patreons, get on it. And if you're not a Patreon, please get on that Defining Duke Ultimate, man. It's really, really quality content. And this was something that few people or outlets are talking about. And I'm proud that we had that discussion. Very important.
I am too. Yeah, we're trying to really push that envelope with Defining Duke Ultimate, making sure we're getting you all important, meaningful conversations. So keep an eye out. We have much more on the way in the coming weeks with that. Just a couple of things before we begin and some follow-ups from the audience. I want to start off with a little note of not really news where we're going to put in the report, but just something I want people to be aware of, which is there's a Twitter account called Agior Nementi Lumia, who tracks a lot of the Microsoft database movements and the code names for projects. And one of the code names is Cardinal, which is the one that was used for Age of Empires 4, and it was found on the Xbox Insider program with like a little test base for January 2022. So it looks like Age of Empires 4 is heading to consoles. We got a lot of write-ins about this one in October and November for Defining Duke. So just know that this seemingly is on the way. Keep an eye out for that one as they are testing it. It makes sense, right? With Microsoft Flight Simulator, it seemed like this, why that, not this, when it comes to PC-only games. So
yeah, and it makes sense. And all I would add to it is just that kind of what we discussed before, with what we consider Age of Empires a dedicated PC kind of a title coming over to console, usually the controller mapping, that kind of thing. We know it's coming. I know people are like, yo, what's going on? So this is good to see that, it's out there. It's coming. It's going to be spoken into existence soon.
Absolutely. Let's talk with Daniel Brown here, who writes in, "Hail to the Dukes. I've got a request for the podcast overall. It applies to Sacred Symbols as well, but I don't want Colin getting onto me for cross-posting. But would it be possible to reiterate the name of the game you're playing after describing/talking to it or about it? Listening to the podcast at work, I often forget the game being talked about if it's something I'm unfamiliar with, like Demio last week. It's I usually wait until you move on to the next one, rewind to the start of the conversation, catch the name, then find roughly where I left off. More of a nice thing to have than a big complaint. Love the show. We can definitely do that. And I don't think Cog's the only one who does that. I certainly have done that before, especially with me. When I was talking about Trails, how long did I talk before I moved on to the next game? So I'm sure how many of the audience did I lose on that? They're like, what the fuck's this guy talking about?
I'm very guilty. You know what it is with me? It's more of I'm cognizant of it, and what it is more of I like to build suspense. What is he talking about? Where is he going? Like theatrics, but to his point, something that I can improve on, because at the end of the day, some people are like, yo, I really want to know what it was, and I didn't catch it. So I'll give you a little balance. I'll improve better with it. Sometimes I got to give you some theatrics.
I'll keep it in the back of my head because I know I've had that when listening in the car, like Sacred Symbols. I'll just be like, what were they just talking about? And that refresh can help. So we'll look to do that. Cog, you have a lover, an admirer. You have also a detractor here in the next two. So these are going your way. Mm-hmm. Let's start off with Dylan Weaver. Let's start off with the positive. Yo, what up, Dukesters? Cog, in the last episode, you mentioned him wearing socks and sandals back in the day, and it's seeming weird. Well, I'm here to tell you that socks and sandals is undoubtedly, objectively, 100%, without a doubt, the best choice for footwear. There's nothing better than throwing on some slides with a stylish pair of socks and going about your day basically with your toes out without having them actually out. It's a cheat code for comfort, man. Socks and sandals gang for life. Thanks, and hope you all have they gave me the wrong drink in the drive-through line kind of day. Ooh.
Wow. Salute to Dylan, man. Salute to Dylan. I thought it's not, I would still consider us the minority of this fashion. But it's something we've been doing, man. And I agree. I'm just so comfortable. You know what it is, Matty? I just like the feeling of fresh new socks.
Oh yeah,
it's something about it. And then whether it be the what is it, the dry fits with the low cut for the summer or the winter, you got the higher top, and then you get a little stylish with it. You got it's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's something so I'm shocked. Like someone actually agrees with me. So salute to you, Dylan, because I figured I would be completely in the minority here. But yeah, man, it's just a comfort thing, man.
Of course, to the shock of no one, I was in the minority with my hate on Crocs because they were loud in the comments, man. They were just like, I'm not going to say I'm mad, but I'm mad. It's like, okay, listen, of course.
Open Toe Gang was not happy with
No,
that.
definitely not. Now, this one I passed across the desk of Cog to make sure, hey, let's screen this. Let's make sure you want to take this battle on. There was an agreement here. So let's talk to Michael Plug, who really, really expressed some disappointment here with the top 5 list that we posted over the holiday break. What's up, magnanimous, if I could say that word, Matty, and calling you out, Cog. First, I love you guys. I'm a PS gamer with no Xbox, but I really enjoy listening to you guys anyway because I appreciate your perspective, right? Starting off, nice, easy. Here we go.
Here you go.
I was a little behind on the content because I took a holiday break as well, but I'm out of my gourd with this top 5 game list of Cogs. How are you going to name your top 5 game of the year is a game you haven't even played, bro? Makes me question all your other opinions. I really want to take this opportunity to show what I believe is wrong with Xbox Game Pass. Here's a guy who names a game his top 5 game of the year, and he won't even shell out $30 for it. $30, bro? With a couple exclamation points and question marks. Like, this is really aggressive. This game has been regularly $30 since Black Friday. You don't think the top 5th game of the year is worth a $30 price tag? What happened to vote with your wallet? It only applies to games you're mad at. Not the same policy for games you praise. If you won't spend $30 on a game you think is in the top 5 games of the year, how do you expect an above average game to keep getting developed if you aren't supporting the games you love? This kind of behavior that starts to make games out of subscription service as crappy and as mediocre as the content that Netflix is full of.
Woo! First of all,
yeah,
shout out to Michael. Shout out to Michael. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I do, I appreciate the smoke. I'm not above criticism. And I do feel there is some validity to what he said. Not everything is a little over the board, but here's the thing. Let's get to it. All right. So the first thing in reference to calling me out in reference to the Deathloop situation with the top 5, right? Now, there's a part that is valid. I literally say in the episode, put the fraud alert on me. Come for me. I am taking the L. Replay the episode. I literally say that. And I say all that to say this. We had Colin on an episode of Defining Duke way back, and we were talking about, Colin made a comment like, look, man, I would love to come over to the Xbox ecosystem, but man, all my trophies are here, right? And with PlayStation, and we had a joke, we like smart onboarding, right? Yeah. So what it is, based on the point I'm getting at, is sometimes the relationship where you play a game, where you choose to play it, there's a number of factors. That's one of them. Now, in reference to Deathloop, I knew that's coming to Game Pass, right? In my opinion, right, that game, maybe I got some inside baseball, maybe not. When it eventually does come to Xbox, it's going to have some enhanced features, may have some other little special things going on. So in my mind, I'll wait for the special deluxe version of that, right? Now, I get it.
The one that I like.
Now, I get it. That's not everybody's situation. Some people are like, yo, I'm not waiting. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake, in my mind, people are like, yo, it's going to come. In my mind, I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm not waiting, right? Deathloop, to me, this is how I look at the games. Any version where you get the platform, that is your choice for whatever reason. That is your choice. To me, let's get to the root of the issue here. The root of the issue is, for some reason, my man Michael just has an issue with Game Pass. He don't like that I ain't pick up the PlayStation version. You know what I'm saying? That's what this seems to be. And all this, yo, bro, you ain't support the dev. And this. Let's be real. Bethesda, Arcane, they got the bag already. Let's be clear, right? The bag has been dropped. They're not hurting in the street. They don't have their pauper. They're not panhandling. Hey, bro, buy it for us. We're not going to survive. They got the bag, right? So that's all I'm saying. And it's a personal choice. Where you choose the version you play is a personal choice. Sometimes it's PlayStation, I can't wait. Sometimes, like with Avengers, I'm like, yo, Spider-Man is exclusive. Yo, I ain't waiting. I'm getting the PlayStation version of it. Other times, I'm like, oh, that's coming. I'll get it. Now, in the last point, as far as the whole games you not play thing, there are certain games intrinsically I know I'm gonna like this XCOM games, RTS, this Tekken, this fighting.
It's like me with
That,
BGS. Yeah.
exactly. With BGS, I know it's in my DNA. I've played all of BGS games on Xbox since the 360 when the PlayStation versions, let's be real, was running kind of shoddy. They had issues. The architecture between the power GPU of the 360 versus the PlayStation. Just a personal decision, bro. Don't take it so personal, Mike. Calm down. And I literally put the fraud alert on myself. So if you want to question opinions after that, that's on you. But we know what the real issue is. You ain't like the fact that I'm waiting on Game Pass, but that's another thing. Hey, man.
No. I'm with you, right? This has been something we see a lot of, and you put it perfectly. So I have nothing to add. I don't want to dogpile Michael here too much. You've defended yourself successfully, I would say. And so, Michael, hopefully this shows that we're willing to answer the bell when it rings.
Salute to Mike, though.
Let's talk about games we're actually playing, right? This is an interesting list of games here for the two of us, I'd say. Let's dish it your way first, as always. What have you been getting your hands on lately?
Meat and potatoes.
Yep.
You know, right now it's still that downtime before I figure like a lot of the major February releases. We talk about Extraction and all that stuff's coming. We talk about February's gonna be crazy. It's over for me in February. So for right now, I ain't gonna lie, like Halo Infinite has been my comfort food just to jump in. We'll talk about what's going on in Halo Infinite, but like, come on, the ninja, I gotta get that samurai armor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They improved the battle pass. So I've been actually liking you know what I'm realizing? I really like Fiesta. And Fiesta, yeah, wow. I know. The reason being, Matty, is because it forces me to play with weapons that I would not traditionally play with. And then I'm getting better. I'm not a good sniper. All of a sudden, I'm getting better with the cinder shot. I'm getting better with a traditional sniper. You know, also the equipment. I'm getting better at repulsing it. I didn't find a good use. And what was happening, the sword bearer guys or the hammer guys will run down on you. You know, when they run down you nothing you can do. Yeah. Now I'll just be like, poof, stand back. And then I, do that. So that's been one. So Halo, I've still been rocking that. Finally doing my weekly challenges, got all my stuff. Destiny, man, Witch Queen's coming. It's coming. It's over for me. And what the cadence for Destiny players, Matty, is you gotta gear up with the best end-game gear now and weapons that are optimal before Bungie updates the sandbox. So this way you're prepared for whatever they do. And that's the tradition before a major expansion. So that's what I've been doing that. And I told you guys about Demio, which I've been it's just my addiction. That's my favorite game right now, to be honest. And I can't wait for PC. And then hopefully this comes to console. Because if it does, I'm telling you guys right now, this is going to be a very addicting game for console. No doubt about it. Dungeons and Dragons meets, Diablo meets XCOM. So much fun. But what you been playing, man?
I got a pretty weird list this week. I'm just going to hold myself accountable on this one. I was surprised you didn't even DM me when I sent you the list, like, here's the link. And you saw, like, was there a little eyebrow raise when
I was like, what's going on here? That's what I wanted.
Which one should I start with? What should I go
let's start with the one that we had shout out to Dustin with the most amazing box art lately. Yeah. I mean, he's been killing the thumbnails. So he had us on the 007, Matty with the pistol looking all crazy.
Yeah, looking a little insane there. Yeah, so hot off the heels of some pretty big news last week for a GoldenEye leak, I was thinking to myself about, how much I love the 007 games growing up. And with that, funny enough, my girlfriend and I, we finally celebrated Christmas in this last week. She had COVID, so we had to unfortunately wait. She got me, as my big gift, she got me the special edition Halo Combat Evolved original Xbox console. It was like, I was like, yo. Because at first I saw, I was like, oh my God, a Halo console. This is sick. And then she's like, do you know which one is for? And I'm like, I was thinking 2 because 2 is like the big one, right? I was like, is it 2? She's like, no, it's Combat Evolved. I was like, I almost cried because I was like, yo. Wow. Like, everyone knows I love Combat Evolved. So I was hyped. I didn't even know it existed. Like, this is the second time she's done this to me where she got me like a limited edition console. Like she did with Persona 4 on the Vita. Did it here with the original Halo where I was like, yo, I didn't know this existed. How'd you find this? So
that's crazy.
Really cool gifts. And I'm like, I got to fire this thing up, right? So I have all of the 007 games on my original Xbox. And I decided to throw in Agent Under Fire
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, this one, man. This one is this one's fun. Now, I wanted to play it because your feedback when I brought it up, your very slight feedback was, I was like, "This is a bad game." I don't remember this being bad. So I fired it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing that I forgot about 007 that really stuck out to me more than anything. This man's a lady killer. I mean, oh my God. All right. First mission, woman in like a slightly unbuttoned dress shirt. She's tied up against like a post on a boat, and James Bond comes in shooting the shit out of everybody. Just like Uncharted level, just murdering everyone, but still looking like the hero. Right. And he saves this woman, and she's like, wow, I don't know how I could thank you. And he's like, the camera starts to zoom in on this man. He's like, I'm sure we could figure something out. And then it fades to black. I'm like, dude. I mean, and it's that all game. There's another part where these twins, they're like, Madam so-and-so will be with you in a moment. I'm sorry, there's a lack of entertainment. They turn around, they walk away. Camera starts to zoom in on the woman and their parts. And it goes back to 007. He's like, little do they know, the entertainment has already arrived. And I'm just like,
shout out to Pimp 07 out here.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is really like an early 2000s game. This would apply nowadays.
Clearly.
Yeah. But as for playing the actual game, I'm sorry, this is just the thing that stuck out to me the most.
No, that was great. That was great.
Really caught me off guard. But playing it, I don't think it's that bad. I don't know. Well, I need to pick your mind, because what I was playing it as, I was thinking of you literally the whole time. I'm like, what was so bad? It
was okay to me. It wasn't like,
right. It wasn't amazing.
Yeah, it was just okay. It was just one of those things where I wasn't disgusted, but I just wasn't wow. But I have to give you credit because bringing me back, because I forgot about those moments, and I do remember like laughing. Like and I like when games get silly like that, kind of thing. Like, well, I figured some entertainment that we could do, like kind of just the banter. Look, it's. What it is for me is I'm very hardcore with that the whole series, the whole franchise, just the licensing. That's what I'm going to say of it. So not that it was like terrible. I just didn't remember it as like this standout, this is in the upper echelon kind of a deal. But I just remember them. It was like, okay, they were solid. I got through them. That's kind of thing. But continue your experience. Continue.
Yeah, so I got through, it's a short game. I got through, I think it's 12 missions it said on the back of the box. Sorry, I got through 7. I don't think I'm going to beat it. Like I spent a couple hours playing it. And I was like, this is kind of fun. This is a good little trip down memory lane, because they have these things called Bond moments where you like jump off a cliff and that'll be like an unlockable Bond moment. And once you finish these missions, you unlock like unlimited missiles for your Bond vehicle. You unlock golden guns. It's got a cool unlock structure. And I always loved how in this game they played with the gadgets. Like you'd use your Q laser to like singe off a lock, and you get into a room with some ammo and like armor. I just thought that was really cool as a kid. Because I played this sexually thrilling game as a kid. Hey, actually, I just remember they're so self-aware with this game. There's a part where 007, he's walking through like a house, and you walk into a bathroom, and there's a shower. You see the smoke coming out. You can see a silhouette of a woman. Yeah, and you're like, oh, here we go again, right? And then it changes to a hologram of like this old professor who's like, yeah, I knew that would get your attention. So here's your new gadget anyway. And I'm just like, damn.
You got to give credit to it being self-aware. You have to. It's hilarious.
An EA game too. So that's 007 Agent Under Fire. And then the other game I was playing when I got Laylee a Xbox Series S for her Christmas gift, right? Me and Cog, where we were in talks on this one. I was like, do I pull the trigger? Laylee's always been a very PlayStation-centric woman.
Let's talk about it.
Loves her old Nintendo games too. But look, she's been on a mean streak lately of sending me game trailers and going, oh my God, can I play this? Sea of Thieves. Plague Tale Requiem. I'm just like, oh, these happen to be, every time I push the envelope a little bit more, I'm like, oh, that's a Game Pass game, Layla. It's a Game Pass game. She's
don't
like,
tell Michael that he don't like this type of talk.
Yeah. I'm just like, well, that's a Game Pass game. She would like text back, or like she would be on the phone or in person. She'd be like, you're really pushing this Xbox thing, huh? And I'm like, I thought to myself, like, she's not going to do it herself. I'm going to do it for her.
Nice.
So got to the Series S. She's going through all these different games. She picked Sable. Sable's the game she loves Sable.
Okay.
But while she's scrolling through, I'm looking at literally, we went through every game in the Xbox Game Pass library because I recommend this to anyone who ever gets a series console and you're going through Game Pass for the first time. Scroll through the show all section and press X on games that interest you. Add them to your play later section so you can kind of queue up games that you might want to check out.
Nice.
And you can highlight the things that stand out to you amongst hundreds of games and you have to find them again.
Nice.
But we did that. And one of the games we passed was Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. Right? So I'm there.
Break it down.
She's downloading Sable. It finishes downloading. I'm like, xCloud's calling my name. I got to see what this game is about.
Smart.
Bust out the phone, hook it all up. I start playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, if anyone's looking for really easy, like 50, 100 gamer score pops, this is the game. This is the game. It brought me back to like Avatar Burning Earth, where they gave you 1,000 gamer score in like the first couple of minutes of the game. And then they're like, yeah, you can play the rest if you want. I'm like, no, I'm good. But Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator is a Game Pass game that I thought was actually kind of fun. Like, are you going to spend tons of hours in it? No, but the name is exactly what it sounds like. It's this quirky indie game where you are a space warlord and there are organs that go on the market. You'll get requests saying like, I need a pair of eyes. I need a nerve system. It's got to be grade A. And there are other traders on the market that are hopping in, like taking your body parts away. And you're like, no, like I need that. And you're working deals out with them. You can bribe them to stay off the market for a day so you can monopolize it. And as you complete these requests, you get money and all this stuff. So it's as simple as like buying, selling. And there are different negotiation tactics you can use, different little perks you can unlock as you keep making deals with people and keep fulfilling requests. It's really just that simple with Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. And I thought it was fun. So I just wanted to shout that out as a quick gamer score game, but also a cool little indie title that has a fun idea, doesn't do anything beyond it. But it's interesting nonetheless. Very quick download. And honestly, a great xCloud game, right? There's no movement of the HUD. It's very... And I would say it's in a disrespectful way. It's cheaply made though. Like it's not breaking the bank. So give that one a look. It's a funny little game. I liked it. I liked it. Yeah, it was fun. I wanted to shout it out here because I have been playing like mostly more trails. No, I was just saying I've been mostly playing more Trails in the Sky, but I was like, I don't feel like talking about that again.
No, you're good. It's kind of got like that. You know what? Games like this always interest me when they have like that green, like old school computer font, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's interesting. I'm looking at it right now. It looks actually kind of funny.
It is. It really is. I definitely, I don't highly recommend it to everybody, but like, if you're looking for a funny little indie game, like that was one of my gaming resolutions. I didn't think of it until after last week's episode when we were asked about it. But I was like, I want to play more indies.
Yeah.
Because Laylee, she pushed my envelope. She was like, you only play mainstream games. That's what she said. I was like, that's personal. That's personal. I was like, I do not. I do not do that. I was like, now I'm going to prove it.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I feel the vibe, man.
So I wanted to shout out Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, despite my girlfriend. No, seriously, it's a good game. It's a good game. Defining Duke is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals of 2022, why are you still paying an insane amount of money every month for wireless? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you maximize your savings with plans starting at just $15 a month. Look, we've said it time in, time out on Defining Duke that 2022 is the year of business decisions, and I'm guilty of having a lot of subscription services. So I think it's time to make some business decisions, some cuts, and I'm really considering switching over to Mint Mobile to save myself some money. For people looking for extra saving this year, Mint Mobile offers that premium wireless for just $15 a month. And by going online only, you eliminate the traditional costs of retail, which Mint Mobile passes significant savings onto you. With that plan, accompanies unlimited talk and text on a high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Duke. That's mintmobile.com/Duke. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Duke. All right, let's move on to our warm-up questions here. We got 5 really interesting ones before we get into the news. Let's begin with Sean Mason. Hey, the great Dukes. Now that Call of Duty's Battle Royale cross Attack on Titan is a thing, do you expect Microsoft to take a similar approach when Halo Infinite's Battle Royale is released? If so, What would or wouldn't you like to see best, Sean M?
Ooh, good one, Sean. First of all, I want to see the mode. I do want battle royale in Halo Infinite. I think again they've got the classic balanced multiplayer that everyone loves. We feel the sandbox is amazing. We know they got issues. We'll get into that right now, cheating, crossplay stuff. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the core is there. So battle royale, I think, gives them that shot in the arm to a generation that still, let's be honest, they're not really going to be an arena shooter type. They weren't there for that. Even though Halo's skyrocketing right now with being free to play, if you want to sustain it, fix the issues, then later on you add more modes. On the single player, we talked about story. On the multiplayer, we're talking about the forges, the battle royales, the new content kind of stuff, the new maps. And yeah, I think it would be great. I also want them to add Warzone. But to his question, I think it'll be interesting. I guess my curiosity from a technical standpoint, how many players could they do? What would be the cap on a single map of Spartans kind of like drop shipping down? And, it would be cool because my thing is like, okay, you could throw different weapons all over the map. They've got this balanced sandbox. So it would be kind of cool, be forced to run to the center. And
right.
I think it would work. My only question is the technical aspect of it. That's it. Like, how much can it really handle with their engine, so to speak? But what about you, man? Like, where are you at? You for it? You're not for it?
Yeah, I'm for it 100%. I feel like battle royale with this type of game makes a lot of sense in the long run. I don't think it's a priority now. I think there's a lot more pressing things. Not that you were saying that, but just in my opinion, I feel like I want to see the game working a lot better on a technical front. We'll talk about that in the news. I want to see more modes get added. I want to see like Master Chief Collection level playlist before we start to get into battle royale, because right now I don't think Halo needs it. Halo's doing really well. It's proven itself that Halo can bring an audience in, and it's like, we'll get to battle royale when it's released. Though, do I want to see Microsoft take the route of Attack on Titan cross Warzone? No, I don't. What is this shit? I couldn't believe my eyes, man. I saw this. I'm like, you're really gonna do my man Levi like this? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. No, this can never, ever happen again. And shout out to Miles Don't Be because he got me pretty good, right? I was like, this is a personal attack on me. And he went Attack on Titan. And it was a great Twitter exchange. He got me good. But man, when I saw this shit, I was just like, why can't we just leave well enough alone? Like, we don't need to bring anime into Call of Duty. We don't. I love anime. I'm standing for anime. But we don't need to do this. We don't need to. It doesn't have to happen.
Do you feel it's being bastardized? You feel it's being defiled, the purity of what you love?
Yes. This is a all-time great anime that's lowering itself to Call of Duty. And it doesn't even make sense. Call of Duty's got guns. You got Levi running around with a gun in wars. We can't be doing this. We can't be doing this. I'm against this entirely, because here's what happened. Then my friend group starts speculating. They're like, yo, what if they did that for Halo and suddenly you got like Levi's blade as the energy sword? I'm like, stop. Cut the tape. Like, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing this. Like, we're not going there. Like, what could Halo do? Not going there. I refuse to allow it.
But Matty, what about the marketing teams?
Well, this is why I'm not running the marketing team, because I'd be fired.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. Listen, there's certain things that you're like, okay, why? like what was going on here? Yeah, I mean, it is weird. I saw that. I didn't understand it. I was just like, okay.
Imagine a Goku outfit in Halo Infinite. It's like, oh, I love Dragon Ball with a BR in his hand. Like, obviously not. Or like one of the aliens is a Frieza model now. Like, just
he's like, no,
let's just hit the brakes. These two don't cross over for a reason. Okay.
I love the passion. This is great.
Let's talk with Kyle Urich. Something that'll fire me up a little less. Hey, Dukes. How do you both manage your backlog? It's January, the calm before the storm, and I'm trying to get through some of mine. However, I struggle to know when to drop a game and move on because it's not speaking to me. This year, I'm giving each backlog game I play an extra day to hook me before I move on. How do you guys deal with the backlog and cutting something loose early if it's not for you? Thanks for all the content. Kyle, appreciate you, Kyle. Thank you for writing in. Also, I didn't thank Sean and the others. Thank you, everyone, for writing in.
Mm-hmm.
Cog, we're always chipping away at that backlog. It's a never-ending battle. It's infinite. But how are you managing it as of now?
Yeah, it's a great question by Kyle, because I've had this happen, and a lot of times it'll happen with games. The masses are like, "Yo, this is the one. You got to check this out." And then you just have those moments sometimes where I'm like, "Yo, man, it's not grabbing me right now. It's something about I can't put my finger on it, right? And it's not grabbing it." And what'll happen to me, the way I get those type of games sometimes to get completed or whatever, is when sometimes they do an update or a content drop, and I'm like, okay, let me now see what's up. Let me give you a second chance and see. And I've had situations like that where it's like, all right, I'm digging this now. But for the most part, I'll be honest, like if I get disinterested and it's not speaking to me, my rule of thumb, unless I have a project associated with it, what I'm saying? Like, really is just to move on, because I don't want to be in that habit of forcing myself to play something while I'm not happy. And then it feels like homework. And I just can't. As a gamer, I don't feel that's healthy, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? That's just where I'm at. Where about you?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hobby, right? Like you got to keep it that way. For me with my backlog, I think what I've done is accept it, because I'm a collector, right? And as someone who collects physical games, it's like I buy things with the intent to eventually play them. So technically my backlog is millions of miles long, because I'll just buy like a Pokemon game here, a Mega Man game there, and with the intent of eventually getting around to it. And so for me, I know that list is so long that I just keep it to like a couple of games in mind that I want to get to within the next month or two. And if those don't click with me, then that's all there is to it. But what I've also realized, and this really applies to more of the collector's mindset than like current games that you want to play and be involved with, but I still think it's worthwhile advice, is enjoy the art of dabbling. There are some games that, like, for example, I'll play for Retro Rebound that I just don't have the time to play to completion. Like I was playing Ultimate Spider-Man. I played it for 2 hours, uploaded a video on it. And that 2-hour dabble was enough for me. Like I was like, okay, like it was good to kind of dive in the pool for a sec, get out and talk about the game. I didn't have to go into the deep end and start seeing all the systems and how they play. Fortunately, nostalgia on my side and a lot of prior experience makes it where I was knowledgeable enough to talk about it. But with older games or backlog games, sometimes I just want to return to those and just get a little fix and then move on. So for me, the art of the dabble has been a key part of that, is just managing my backlog by realizing that not every game needs to be played to completion. As for more current things, story-driven games that, man, I really want to play that and bring that up in conversation. These are ones where I just try to be selectful of. I don't think there's a real rhyme or reason or method to do it in the best way. Every game, and it's like unavoidable, right? Like every game involves you spending a lot of time with it. So unless you're picking a lot of short games, your backlog's just going to keep growing, especially this year. Like everyone's backlog is going to grow this year. There's going to be too many games at a lot of points where we look at something like February, unless something gets delayed again, possible, right? But right now, looking at February in this current frame, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to make some business choices. So no matter what, it's always going to happen. And what I've learned, not to ramble too long here, but what I've learned is I've started to read more this year, really taking that seriously, whether it be actual books or manga. I've been watching more TV. I've been trying to take in other forms of entertainment, and it's been really healthy for my general enjoyment of video games because I'm getting different things. Like I used to be sports and video games. Like that's it. Sports and games. I'm trying to take in all different avenues. And what happens is you start to realize like we're in such a good time for entertainment in my eyes. Like we got a Boba Fett show. We got a ton of Marvel movies, like comic book stuff is doing great. Yeah, Witcher. Like you got movie tie-ins doing well. Or I'm sorry, game tie-in shows and movies doing well. There's always going to be something you're missing. So to me, part of the process is just accepting you're going to miss something somewhere because you cannot experience all of it physically unless you're up 24 hours a day, every single day of every single week, experiencing, playing, and just not living your life. So my advice to you, Kyle, live your life, pick what's interesting to you, dabble. If it's not sticking with you, move on and find something that does grab you. But I will say for people in our medium, like me, Cog, reviewers, you got to stick with the mediocre experience sometimes. You got to know sometimes why a game is bad. So just know that there's a level of accountability on our behalf that I don't think every consumer has to follow, because for us, like, we need to know what makes a game good, what makes a game bad. But man, that got way longer than I thought it was going to be. Wow.
No, it was good. It was good. And I like your point on the dabble, especially because there's been times when the dabble actually transformed into, oh my God, I can't stop playing this. This is so
Then you know.
That's what I know. And that's what happened to me with Forgotten City.
Yes.
It was literally your
that.
recommendation based on a conversation I believe you had with Grub or something.
Yeah, Jeff. He was on our show,
Yeah, he was on the show, like, shout out to Grub. And then I was just like, all right, I'll dabble. And then I'm like, yo. Like, I just couldn't stop. And I've had stuff like that. So like you said, in our case, yes, good point. There are going to be times we have to stick it out because that's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
But other times for, any other person, you have to make that business decision. You can't play everything. And hey, when you're out, it's okay. You got something else. You could always, you don't have to do the full experience in that case for every single game you come across.
Yeah. And I think it's just the nature that backlogs are going to grow, because we're seeing as game grows, or gaming grows in general, that there's going to be more experiences for various people. And so it's going to cast a wider net. And it's good that you can pick some things out and be like, this is for me. And that's it. So
absolutely.
You won't be waiting too long to find something new to catch your attention, Kyle.
Sure.
Let's talk to Peter Sismagoo. Hey, Dukes, I'm really interested to hear your answers for this one. You could play only one exclusive game for each Xbox generation, the OG, 360, One, and Series. What are your 4 picks? P.S. Matty, due to your recommendation, I started playing Unsighted, and I can't thank you enough. That game is absolutely splendid. Yeah. Hey, if anyone didn't catch our Game Pass videos, or I think I brought it up in a Game of the Year discussion. It wasn't in my top 5, but check out Unsighted. It's on Game Pass. A super underrated game. Really, really underrated. All right. Top exclusive game per generation. I got a list ready. Are you ready?
This was so tough. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You want to go?
All right, let's start. Then I'll pass off. So OG, that was easy. That was easy. That was combat evolved.
Okay.
Yeah. OG was combat evolved for me. That too much significance. LAN parties. We've talked about just landing on a Halo, and we even talked about how Halo Infinite basically gave you some of those vibes on Zeta Halo. So that's that. You want to do a pass and pass, or you want me to
let's do pass and pass.
Let's do pass and pass. So you were up OG.
So yeah, I was with you at first. I was like, oh, it's got to be combat evolved. I was like,
all right,
but KOTOR. It
was exclusive. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I was like, I mean, now it's on Switch, it's on PC, but
at the time,
this is like my favorite game of all time. It cannot be moved. It is a titan for me. This is, I think, one of the best RPGs made. It's one of the most transformative Star Wars stories, yada, yada, yada. And not only that, but it defined RPGs, I think, for that generation, and it defined what I liked about them. So this, to me, as much as I love Combat Evolved, it would easily be a close second. But Death Row was in there as well on my list. I was like, man, this OG Xbox era was fire. Like, there was some stuff that I really loved. Blinks the Time Sweeper. There's so much good stuff that came out. But KOTOR, easy top dog.
Yeah, that makes so sense. That makes so much sense for you. Yeah, totally understand it. All right, so let's move into 360.
Okay,
this one was fairly easy for me. When I saw the Gear, let me say the name because I don't want the comments boys to get mad. Gear series, right? The Gear series, yeah. Because the reason why is that, like, for me, I needed to know what the jump from Xbox to 360 truly represented, and at the time, the graphical fidelity of this game. Right. So it spoke to me on graphic fidelity. I remember that trailer, Mad World, getting emotional, seeing the Marcus Felix, all I see is death for the faces. I was like, yo, what is going on? I didn't know games could do it. It was like a trailer, like a music video. I was like, what is happening? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Peter Moore. They talked about that moment internally with marketing and how they knew they had a hit, and the other thing about it is the series itself. I'm a co-op guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Co-op with the homie. You rock the whole thing out. Shout out to, everybody who played Marcus and Dom. Then, the other thing for me is the series also eventually introduced Horde mode. And that's when I really started to fall in love with that. I felt their iteration was some of the best. And the fact that usually most games were like 4. They did 5-player horde mode. And it's like, all right, man, set up the turrets, put electrified things. All right, oh man, they sent in the Cantus, they sent in the Brumac. It's crazy. Like, I love that. I'm not the biggest multiplayer fan, but Gears as a whole just meant so much. My name is Cog. Like, come on, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Let me hear your 3 cents. I don't know where, matter of fact, I think I know where you're going to go.
What's your prediction?
Because 360, actually, no, because the Bethesda joints did come out on PlayStation 3, but later?
Yeah. It was tough, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of, if I were to follow that rule set, it would have been Oblivion.
Right.
But I couldn't, it felt like too much of an exception. I wanted to pick like a pure exclusive, right? Like it has the only for Xbox stamp on it, just like KOTOR did. So what I went with was Halo 3.
Ooh,
I just feel like this one, it's unsurprising, I imagine, for a lot of people.
Shout out to Chris Reagan. He would definitely agree.
Yeah, no, right? And, much like Chris says, I think he put into perfect terminology that like Halo 3 was really a social platform of its own. Like it was, before the dawn of true social media. And it was a way I connected with a lot of people. Like in middle school, what's your gamer tag? Because everyone had Halo. It wasn't, do you have Halo? It was like, what's your gamer tag? Let's play Halo 3. Nice. So times in custom games, just general multiplayer, co-op campaign, Forge. I mean, everyone's heard that run down the list before of Halo 3 features. The trash talking in the lobby, the people who are annoying as fucking would delay the wait time by pressing X, so they just keep doing it over and over to troll. So many memories baked into it, and I love Halo 3. I really do. It's one of my very favorite 360 games. And when I was looking at the list, like there were other ones I wanted to talk about. I was thinking like Lost Odyssey, I always stand for. But again, I played that for the first time in the last like 2 years. I can't sit here and act like that was my pick back then. Like I got to bring myself to that era, and Halo 3 was undoubtedly that. But what I noticed when going through the list of exclusive 360 games, obviously they had a ton of phenomenal ones, but it was kind of the burgers, fries, and shake that you were talking about. Really. And that's why I think the series console generation is so exciting, because we're really going beyond that. When I looked at it, I went, it was really the third party games to me that defined the 360 PS3 era. Like that's what spoke to me way more. It wasn't the Xbox exclusives outside of like Halo 3. I love Gears, but like I was late to Gears to some extent. And when I picked it up, I played multiplayer only, because I was in that phase. I was in middle school, early high school days. So I was like, what's the wave that gets me in talking to people and having some friends, right? So wasn't into the single player thing until I said, fuck it, I don't like most people. I'm going to fucking play single player games. But so Halo 3, that's my pick. Xbox One era. This is a very interesting one. So where'd you go with?
This one was fun. All right. I know what I wanted to go with. I wanted to be silly and be like, right, start around. I was like, no. So then I was like, nah, you know what it was? I don't know if you remember this, but at the time it was exclusive. Stand by for Titanfall. Titanfall 1 changed the game for me. Titanfall 1 made me actually excited, man. I'll never forget when I got it. And yes, it did have its flaws with the single player campaign that was kind of like a multiplayer, whatever. But it was so ambitious. It was, the cloud tech with the whatever, the little droids, whatever. Okay, whatever. But I never forget,
man, that's a
getting
great
your pilot, wall running on the side, right? Doing the slide, getting the kill, feeling like a modern warfare kind of game. Then it's like, you got 4 seconds for Titanfall. That Atlas Titan drop down, bam, you jump inside. Then it becomes like Transformers. I got my little Autobot and I'm, we're shooting up. And one of my favorite modes, last Titan Standing. I love that mode where it's just, Titan joint. I like the Frontier cooperative mode. They had like a cooperative horde mode, Frontier Defense. People also say the balance was better in the Titanfall 1's multiplayer. There's an internal debate. Even though Titanfall 2 changed the game, a lot of people like the multiplayer in Titanfall 1 better.
That shit was good.
Bro, it was, and I'm so mad that there's no way that Xbox could have locked that down.
That was a pillar. That was a pillar for sure.
That was a go. You had Vince in pocket. Now, granted, it was EA. They probably spent a big bag to get it. But man, Titanfall was exclusive. to Xbox.
That's
Part one was
really good
that was a
pick.
huge deal, man. So I gotta get that. That gave me hope for the generation, and then we saw the rest of the generation. But I thought it was gonna be an epic kind of thing. But all right, enough of the. I gotta know what this is a hard generation. So I want to know where did you go?
I went with this actually wasn't too difficult. I think it would be our most interesting part of the discussion, but this wasn't too difficult for me.
Xbox
Undoubtedly, One. Sunset Overdrive from Insomniac.
Makes sense.
Oh my gosh, man, do I love this game. Ratchet and Clank meets Fallout in a way, plus all the movement methods that people were blown away by in Spider-Man started here. I tell people that all the time, and I get why a lot of folks don't really know about it. It's on Steam now, but with this game just pocketed in Xbox One, so many folks don't know the good word of Sunset Overdrive. Think of, again, Ratchet and Clank's weaponry that levels up over time. It transforms in a post-apocalyptic world with parkour. And the marketing before this game's launch with the Overdrive TV and
there you go. That was the name of the soda. I forgot. Yeah.
With Fizzy, I think his name was, and they would just show off gameplays. I loved this game, man. I thought it was so fun. It was, for me, my glimmer of hope during the Xbox One era. That and Titanfall, that's a great one. I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
But like those two, man, I was like, we got something here. Like this, but then you saw, obviously, Insomniac started to depart. They started to kind of lose I wouldn't say lose their way, but started to do like VR and they weren't the exciting developer they are now. But just like you mentioned with Respawn, like Xbox had another great studio in pocket here that like it could have been a major pillar moving forward.
That's what's so disappointing about the Xbox One generation, because the promise at the start was strong.
Yeah,
right? The whole Rising 3, the launch lineup was strong. Like you felt they were about to, oh man, it's going to be a generation for them. And in contrast, PlayStation started slow, right? It was more of the indies, kind of thing. And man, did that thing flip around on them quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, so good choice. I like that. So now we're up to series, right? We're up to series. This is early. This is an infant. It's early. Man, I hate to be the de facto, but nothing. I'm not playing. If I have to look at exclusive, what am I playing the most? Halo Infinite.
I have the same answer, so let's get into
it. I didn't want to pick it because I thought, that's so cliche, but it is what it is, bro. Like it's just
the first year. It's this pick will undoubtedly change in the years to come.
Yeah, it's early, but it goes to show you, like, it's early in generation. It's that addicting that I can't stop playing it, and hopefully this. As the generation goes on, we'll have other stuff from the other game studios or whatever, hopefully supplant it. But it's a good start. Not like it's a bad pick. It's just, it is what it is, man. They're back. They're back. Yeah. It's a solid entry, and people feel good about it.
Yeah, I agree entirely. It's just a really fun game, and I think it's their best offering for the console yet. And a real reason to own an Xbox or a PC. Like, I think it adds value to that ecosystem, which is sort of what they've been looking for on a first party level. So again, I think my answer will change in the coming years. There's a lot more on Xbox's plate that looks more my speed. Right. Not that Halo isn't. Halo has always been, but I think down the line, looking at Starfield, looking at Fable from Playground.
Then we see what Obsidian going to do. We're going to see what they do. Like, in my mind, I know it's probably going to change. But remember, we're dating ourselves right now at this moment. Yeah. It's Halo for now. But we should revisit. This is a great question. I like this question.
I agree. So thank you, Peter. Let's talk with Will Hernandez. Hey, Dukes, I've seen some conversation in the dreaded Twitter sphere that it should be okay to let franchises die when the time is right. I think some of the scuttlebutt center around whether the Halo franchise should have continued after 3. I think that would have been treacherous for Microsoft to do, especially when they relied on the Halo Gears Forza formulas for so many years. But I think this argument does show a complete lack of depth in the first-party offering from Microsoft last generation. PlayStation can afford to abandon something like Resistance and Days Gone more recently because it churns out much other top-notch titles. But can you imagine a gaming world where Halo ceased to exist after the first trilogy? Thanks, and have a Sweet Green forgot to add double chicken to your delivery order kind of day. Yes, this happened to me last week. Thank you, Will.
Oh, man. Shout out to Will. Shout out to a good one. It's a great question, especially after what we just talked about with the Xbox One generation, right? And like, this was my problem. the over reliance on those franchises, the Big Mac, large fries, and the shake, the Forza, the Halo, the Gears, and not, we talked about the Insomniacs getting away, the Titanfalls getting away.
Right.
The reason why my hashtag just one movement started is, where are those new protagonists, right? Where are those new heroes, those new Xbox exclusive heroes that now push it forward, so you don't have to rely on those three, right? And that's why Sony is afforded. Like I said, you have a Alloy, you have a Jin Sakai. They've got protagonists for the future. They don't have to rely on Nathan Drake and Kratos all day. Like, they've got things going. So that's the thing. And now I'm excited again because of the series and the Xbox generation, the series generation, and what they're about to do. But, to his question, as far as letting stuff die, they couldn't. They had to do Burger, Shake, and Fry. There was nothing else they could do. So it's like, we're going to give you 2 Gears. We're going to spin off. Like, I get it. It exposed them for their deficiencies last gen. And now they've course corrected. And that's what has me excited.
Yeah, right there with you. I will say, though, because Will asked, like, can you imagine a gaming world where Halo ceased to exist after the first trilogy? And I think to myself, on a level, like, vacancies create opportunity, yeah?
Ooh.
Like, what would that have been like? Obviously, I don't think Xbox maybe would have survived that gen.
Exactly.
But I do wonder what, in a desperate position, they would have had to do to make a new hero. If they said, like, okay, we're retiring Halo, I think this would have been the end result regardless, because they were in a desperate position, so they went to all reliable at the end of the day. But if for some reason they couldn't, I think Will makes a really good point here that you can see PlayStation has abandoned a number of IP. I think what speaks to I think what we can all agree on is we all have one PlayStation IP that's probably dead that we wish would come back. You cannot say the same for Xbox. Like, I look at PlayStation. For me, it's Sly Cooper. And I guess for Xbox, there are a number of ones you could say, but I'm saying that list is a lot shorter.
Yes, correct.
And I don't think they stand the test of time as long. Like, if they brought back Blinks of Time Sweeper, me and like 18 other people would be like, yeah, let's go. But otherwise, 18. Yeah, right. Like, otherwise, it's going to be a very short-lived bit of hype for most people. So yeah, there's undoubtedly a lot of legacy in PlayStation there. And it's actually funny because one of our first ever Defining Duke questions, I forgot who asked it, but it was a write-in to Carrick and I, and the person was asking about merch for Xbox and how they don't really have the characters you can create the merch around outside of, really, in this case, like Halo and Gears, right? You don't see them doing Obsidian merch, BGS merch. Hopefully down the line with the Xbox store and them teaming up with Meta, they got the stuff they do is fresh, but like, they need those faces. Because I also think of the box, man. When I think of like the original Xbox box, it's in the other room. I could probably go grab it. But when I think of that thing, man, and the amount of heroes and faces that decorated the back of it, like, what I want to see is the new Xbox Series Xbox with Chief, with Marcus Phoenix, with Senua, with the Starfield protagonist, et cetera, right? Like, I want to see that. So that's seemingly where they're heading, but for sure, something that has been exposed.
Fantastic point. And I want to shout out my boy. I want to give him some love. Ben Kenobi, he's an artist. He does a lot of stuff. He does some stuff for us at LP. He also does
Xbox stuff real quick.
Yeah, go for it. I'll talk. He's done some stuff also that Xbox themselves, Aaron Greenberg, Phil Spencer have actually shown. And what I bring this up to say, for the series consoles, which is really cool, what he's done is what Matty's talked about, almost like that. I don't say like a Smash Brothers kind of feel, but where you see all the protagonists of the new generation, like you said, the Senua, Starfield, Bethesda, the duo.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. For the audio listeners, this man literally has the OG Xbox box looking spectacular. Wow.
Yeah.
You're taking me back. I didn't even remember.
Yeah, so we got Halo 2, Conquer Live and Reloaded, Madden NFL 2005, Dead or Alive Ultimate, Doom 3, Mech Assault 2, Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory, Jade Empire, Forza Horizon, KOTOR 2. I didn't know that. Sims in the City, and Pictar the Incredibles.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. But look,
and they got the 2 games here on the front.
Oh, I love it. I love
Pretty
it. I
sick.
love that. That's taking me back, man. I love that old box art, that energy. But yeah, man, and like I said, now for the new generation, you want to see that stuff. You want to see all those new protagonists, new heroes, whether it be Hellblade, whether it be Obsidian. You know what I mean? They could maybe throw their what's our joint, the RPG that we're looking for so much, Avowed. You know what I mean? So it's like, look, I'm excited, man. There's so much future protagonist, Compulsion's IP, right? We got that. We've got, man, you can put more things besides the Force of Car, Master Chief, and either Marcus Phoenix or Kate, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So future's bright. I'm so excited to see, because the thing is this, y'all, the mindset change. And the problem with the last generation is when you don't own these IP, they're not controlled by you, like in the Insomniac situation, in the Titanfall situation, then you're in a tough spot. You're in a spot where you have to now go rent out a franchise, or you have to keep going back to the well on the old stuff, and then that just makes your lineup kind of redundant and bland in comparison to what PlayStation is doing. So this is where the philosophy change is really taking shape. I'm excited. And this is a great, great question. I love it.
Absolutely. Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. It's the start of a brand new year. It's the month of January. I know a lot of us are sitting down analyzing our schedules, but are you taking a look at your routines? Most importantly, your cleanliness routines, right? We're gamers. Sometimes we get into those video game stories and we don't get out of our chairs and we start to smell bad. We need to stop that this year. This is the year that you cut off smelling bad. And how you do that? Well, Manscaped is here to help with an offer exclusive to Defining Duke listeners, where if you go to manscaped.com and use the code Duke for 20% off and free shipping, you can get something like the Lawnmower 4.0, where, yes, we talk a lot about below-the-waist grooming. We'll get into that in a matter of moments, but I also want to talk about above-the-waist grooming. You could do a little bit of work on your chest here. I personally do that. I'm sorry for the mental image, but it really helps out a lot there. So just keep that in mind. It's not just for one area, but for those of you out there who are looking to reduce the amount of nicks you get in your below-the-waist grooming, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is there to help you. So if any of this sounds interesting and you're ready to commit to your cleanliness, then go on over to manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Duke at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code Duke. It's a new year, no pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. All right, number 5, and then we'll get into the news. Alex Kilgore writes, "Hey, Dukes. So I've seen a few people on Twitter talking about, notice how Twitter's the source for a lot of this, Halo Infinite dying because the viewers on Twitch are low. In my experience, Twitch isn't a true indication of how well a game is doing. As Cog will know, Destiny 2 doesn't have a large viewer count on Twitch, but it's still a wildly popular game, especially at the start of a new DLC or season. What do you guys think? Is Twitch a good indication of how well/successful a game is doing in the real world, or are people just crying wolf for no reason? Thanks for all you do. I hope you have a day one raid crash kind of day." Ooh.
No, not a day one raid crash. Yo, shout out to Alex, man. Great question. One thing I've learned being a content creator and following the news and doing this stuff me and you do is Twitter is really an echo chamber. And it is not representative of the real world all of the time. And now with Twitch, I don't want to be disrespectful to Twitch. All I would say, that's just one layer of engagement, right? One layer of measurement, of tracking, but it doesn't necessarily mean this means a game is dying, no one's playing it, that kind of thing. Because as Alex, beautifully described, Destiny is a clear example of it. Like, I'm a hardcore Destiny fan. Right now, Matty, they are in the largest content drought from, I would say, summer to, because their expansion, Witch Queen, got delayed. It's supposed to be fall of 2021. Now it's February, right? So this is the longest drought where literally not much is going on. They had the 30th anniversary, but it was a small little drop. And it was still like 4 to 6 months of nothing. Mm-hmm. I am a hardcore player in my heart. Oh, the game's dead. There's nothing. I've done everything. There's nothing really to do. The most you're going to do is maybe do a couple of hardcore things to prep for the next season. Right. So when the vocal minority like me, that's the hardcore community, oh, this game's dead, they need to do something. What the hell is Bungie doing? Bungie themselves are looking at us like, Well, here are their engagement numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the Xbox most played, right? We're number 8 in a dead season with no new content, right? So it goes to show you that you can't always appeal to these large voices on Twitter and this, oh, that means that that's what's happening. No, that's not. A lot of them have the data. So it goes to tell you like all this dying stuff, that's just one thing. Twitter is an echo chamber. You got to be very cognizant. You cannot use that as the defining data for what's going on in the gaming sphere. It's one aspect. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like Halo Infinite in the last 24 hours peaked at 41,000 players. So that's on Steam just alone. In the last
number
40 minutes,
yeah,
it's 24,000. Sorry, what were you going to say? Number 4 on what?
I was going to say number 4 on most played game, right next to Fortnite, Call of Duty, Warzone Pacific, the new giant, and Grand Theft Auto, which we know is a monster, and above Apex Legends. And then they just dropped some amazing new content that's popping, and Roblox, which we know is crazy. Halo Infinite, it's right there in number 4, strong, still
the most played game. So to echo really what Cog said, you can't let all the time these large content creators and streamers define what is dead, because what's dead to them is what's not getting them views. That doesn't mean the game is dead. And by the way, there was a lot of these COD streamers running a parade around how Halo Infinite's going to die because it doesn't have a battle royale. Farthest thing from the truth, as we all have now seen, and as we have just shown you via the numbers, via the placement, it's not dead and it doesn't have a battle royale. It's just dead to them because they stream Warzone only. And guess what? Warzone's a fucking battle royale. And guess what? Halo doesn't have. So yeah, you're going to see your viewer count go like that. It's going to go down. Of course it's going to go down. Of course it's dead to you. It's not dead to everyone else. You've just either lost interest or it's not really set for your audience. Holy crap. Crazy lesson that us content creators have to learn. But I digress. To me, it bothers me. Twitch can be a sign of the collective interest in a game, I think, like when you see a game popping off. But you start to see now how those numbers can be augmented. Let's look at New World. One of the highest viewed games on Twitch ever. An Amazon published game. I wonder why the numbers are so high.
Are you implying?
Again, New World's a great example. Let me check out the New World Steam player count. This will be interesting because I recently saw my sub feed. Oh, this is hilarious.
Let's get it.
This is hilarious. Okay. I saw a video that was titled like how this game completely died. In the last 24 hours, it peaked at 87,000 players. It had an all-time peak of 913,000 players. Wow. We're talking about an MMO. MMOs, just like every other game, go through seasons. Just they're kind of in a disguise, I'd say. Like people don't realize or really talk about them. I shouldn't say they don't realize. We don't talk about them like they're a service game, but they are. They go through seasons. People play the base game content. We're waiting for the next New World drop. The fact that at this point in time, after all of that hype, that they have sat at, let's see here, 87,000 players in the last 24 hours, I think is pretty good. Now, one thing worth talking about is the significant drop-off here on Steam. October, its average player count was 410,000. That's not sustainable. So then it looks like a significant drop of 62%, because then it goes to 155,000, losing 255,000 players at average. Then it goes down a little bit more to something I'd say more stable in December, 83,000. And now we're seeing it sitting there at around, actually a little bit above that number here in January. So obviously it's going to stabilize, but this is what happens when you let YouTubers run around with some of the statistics. There's different examples. Like I used one for a Fallout video where I talked about what 76's player count was versus Fallout 4 and Skyrim, which are like dwarfing it significantly. And in comparison to Bethesda's treatment of it, it can be used contextually, but to outright say it's dead, like if the company's making money, it's not dead to them. That's just the reality there. It's just dead to certain parts of the audience.
Beautifully said, man. I mean, that's literally what it is. And I try to tell people a lot of times, especially the points you made about, streaming and people trying to put what their career and their channel metrics impose that onto the rest of the real world. So you said it. I couldn't have said it any better than you said it, man.
All right. Well, let's get into the news here. Number one, Shout out to our good friends at lordsofgaming.net. We love lordsofgaming.net, who is early to the rumor from Ukrainian blogger slash YouTuber Old Boy, who has been known to cover Eastern European gaming industry topics and has indicated that a delay for Stalker 2 was incoming. In his video, he stated Stalker 2 will be getting a considerable delay in fall of 2022. That means that the PS5 version of the game could not possibly launch until 2023 if the information was believed to be accurate. Then, officially today, on January 12th, as we record this episode, the official Stalker Twitter account said, "We have made the decision to postpone the release of Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl to December 8th, 2022, reads a statement from the development team. They followed that up by saying, "These additional 7 months of development are needed to fulfill our vision and achieve the desired state of the game. Stalker 2 is the biggest project in the history of GSC, and it requires thorough testing and polishing. We are convinced that development should take as long as necessary, especially in the case of such a project." End quote. So, Cog, I think this is actually a bit of a destabilizing move for Xbox in a way, right? Obviously, we want to have the quality of the game be the priority, but taking a look at this drastically shifts the landscape of the early part of the year, I would say. How are you feeling about looking at Xbox's start to 2022? Now we know holiday is already going to be stacked, but let's talk now.
Yeah, we talked about it, right? We talked about the incoming threat of PS5's lineup. Mm-hmm. And we looked at, okay, what was the counters? What was it? And Stalker was, as much as me and you had our little internal joke about, well, it's 3 or 4 month exclusive, really, a dent. But this was something they were banking on. This was something they were counting on. This was something they were promoting, right? When you looked at their showcases, Stalker was always, out there in the front. So it really puts a hole again towards the top of the year. And we know the thing, what it is, Matty? Look, I get frustrated sometimes, not saying that they purposely do it, but I get frustrated sometimes with Xbox in the sense that I feel like they're always backloaded at the end of the year. The majority of the console generations, they always tend the holiday, from September on, to December, it's very tightly packed. Now, last year they did a better job of that, but I want to know, if possible, what they could do for this first half of this year. And this is a blow. Some people were really excited for this. And last thing I'll add to this is that we know it was an Unreal Engine 5 game, right? And I want to know from a development standpoint how much, maybe, because you know how it is when you get new engines and trying to figure it out, the developmental growing pains of learning new stuff. I don't know what else is going on. Obviously, I'm also going to guess, we kind of say at least, the pandemic may have impacted on some level, but they gotta figure something out. They got to figure something out, because that top of the year, in my opinion, is still not strong where I'm confident as it stands right now. Yes, we heard the announcement, Ubisoft. We like, Ubisoft Plus and, the potential of Rainbow Extraction, but let's be honest, Extraction wasn't prior to that. And now nobody was knocking the doors down, talking about, yo, bro, when's that Extraction coming? You know what I'm saying? So look, they've got to be, they're cognizant of it. I just want to know what they do. That's the question I have.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on the idea that I think a move needs to be made. Right now, you're looking at the early part of 2022. We have CrossfireX, we have Tunic, and we have Rainbow Six Extraction, technically, which, let's be honest, we echoed this last week that this is a $40 spin-off game that we'll see how it goes. Looks all right. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe it ends up being great. Again, We'll see. My confidence personally isn't that high. But if you're ever going to get a big fish, I think now's the time. You have the way I always word it is like, game development is this very haphazard, long process, and also largely unpredictable. But with Game Pass, you have the ability to do these knee-jerk responses. As we know, a lot of Game Pass deals come together towards the end of a development cycle. So now, if I'm Phil, pick up the phone.
Who we calling?
Calling Techland. We're calling Techland. 4-player co-op Dying Light 2. I've never seen a better fit right now than that game. Looks good. I know it's had a tumultuous development cycle. I've read the reports. I've read the accounts. But this game still looks really good. And I think it's a good fit for Xbox. We see Xbox Twitter account. You always mention COG, like the interactions. They're there constantly. They've been there for a while. And I'm pretty sure Dying Light 2 is revealed on their stage, if I don't if I'm not misremembering.
Man, I can't remember. You may be right.
2019
Okay.
E3 stage, I want to say. We can double check that in a second. But I just feel like I know I'm pushing it. I know I'm putting it out into the ether a lot, but this to me makes the most sense, right? You lost your big exclusive, even if it's a timed one. You lost your big stamp on the calendar. Now it's coming out in December, so you're looking at a strong holiday. How do you fill the gap here? What do you start to do to fill the gap here? We know that Xbox has millions of dollars set to spend on Game Pass before, I think it's June, or I'm sorry, the summer of this year, right? That's what Jeff told us. So
Right.
if we're to run with that information, then they got a time, it's ticking, and they got money to spend. So I would say this is the ideal candidate. Get this game.
Yeah.
Or if you really want to, this I don't see ever happening. Elden Ring. I don't see that. If that's the thing though, but hearing me say I don't see that happening is exactly kind of what they need to have. Because at least Dying Light, I expect to some extent, like, okay, they had some trouble, secure the bag. It's going up against Elden Ring, give it a chance, and make it more playable for people. It's co-op, get more people involved. But dude, if you could get Elden Ring, I mean, that's a whole other story.
You shake the earth.
Yeah.
You shake the earth if you get Elden Ring. I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah, like they got to supplement. They have to supplement Game Pass with something because they were counting on Stalker 2. They were counting on that. They were touting it. They were promoting it. That, regardless of the 4-month thing, that was something that platform had that looked good, that was exclusive during that time period to kind of help buffer. So they have to go out there and, yeah, like Dying Light fits so much because it's the template, the cooperative game, you said it best, like it hits all the check boxes for them as well. So I'm very curious these next couple of months from January to about, what we're going to say, like to June. I want to say January to June. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what are we going to be excited about Game Pass about, because we know a lot of the first party stuff is not ready. And Starfield, we don't know when, Starfield we know, but Redfall, we got to find out what's going on with that. There's a lot of questions here. A lot of questions. They got to figure this out.
Yeah, and it's not doom and gloom. Again, they do have stuff there. We have a January, February, March beat, if you will. Yeah. I think it's a bit of a stretch because we have in January Rainbow Six Extraction. In February, you've got CrossfireX campaign. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not a good 1-2 punch. And then with March, you have Tunic, which looks really good. And I think that's a good little stamp on the calendar because it's releasing after the storm of games in February. It's a little title. It's indie. I think that's a good little calendar fill-in. But I just feel like, again, I've been saying this since when, that they just need something in February. And now you've lost your big Q1 punch in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Now it's desperate times, desperate measures. I just feel we got to make a move here. I really do.
Right. I agree.
If they don't, not the end of the world, because we are looking at a stacked holiday. But nothing wrong with treating the fans right. That's all I'm going to say.
Or making an announcement that you may have acquired someone. Kind of diversion, show game. Hey, look at this over here. Look what we do. Oh my God, this is another Bethesda level.
Pretty well. Yeah,
that's now's the time if you want to get some good PR.
Yeah, because like it's obviously not a big blow to them, but that's a good point that if you don't have anything to add, but you're already in the process of acquiring someone and the announcement times out in that manner, that could work out really well.
Yes, let's be honest. Yeah. When the Bethesda announcement happened, that was, I believe, what was you good with dates? Like what time frame did it happen?
September 2020.
Right. And it was doom and gloom coming into that launch. It was doom and gloom, like, games? Yo, where the games, bro? No Halo on launch. What are you doing? How could you launch? It's the most powerful with what? And then that Bethesda hit, like, oh, wow, this is a conglomerate. Oh, my God. Could you imagine machine games and this? And all, like the wonder, right?
It's a good point. Very good point.
Now's the time to start, finalizing.
It's a really good point. I could see. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy, but it's something that would time out really well now with everything that's moving around. And I imagine some other games will get delayed. Heard some little mumbling.
Yeah, there's rumblings. Stalker ain't the only one. Stalker 2 ain't the only one. So this is going to be an interesting year. They're going to have to be very adaptable on the fly. And I'm with you. I think it's almost like you know how we met fans like, yo, they hot stove. You got to see what's going on. You got to hit the market, bro. You're gonna have to start upping the deals, but doing something to attract these free agents over to the squad.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to float out a couple or a title that we've heard? Because I think it's good to know. Again, this is not from, in my case, typical source. So, and I know not yours, where this is something we just want to float out, right? Like knowledge is power is how I look at it, right? And this is unconfirmed, but
we've heard rumblings and want to make sure Redfall is okay. We just want to make sure we're just checking on the status of certain things. That's all.
Redfall was the name that was floated. And this wouldn't surprise me when you really look at the lay of the land for this one. It's quiet. It was revealed at E3. We do know some insider testing was being done because some gameplay images had leaked.
Right.
It's not rumored. Sorry, it's said to be launching summer 2022. I think an E3 full reveal is a bit too late. So I imagine Xbox will have showcases earlier this year. Actually, this letter from S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 had written saying there's a lot of news, information, and showcases. So
yes, plural.
To be expected that Xbox will have multiple. So I do think they'll have a spring one. Is it revealed there with information? Why not E3? I think this is one that you see slip from summer to holiday. And based on what we heard, that would make a lot of sense. Like, is it official? No, but I think it makes a lot of sense with where you look at where it is, how little we know, and when we'll likely see it. It just doesn't, to me, time out right. Because my justification, I want to see if you agree.
Let's go.
It's already hard enough to market an arcane game. Let's just face facts, right? And now let's say they do it at E3, you're looking at like a 3-month window to market this thing.
Yeah.
New IP, it needs time, right? So are they going to do it in, I don't know, are they going to do it in like spring and then start marketing it for like a September launch? Or are you going to do it in June and market for like a October launch now?
Yeah, it's a good point. Let me ask you this, since we were on the subject of Deathloop earlier. When does that exclusivity end?
I think it's a 1 year thing.
1 year, right? So when did they drop? When did they first drop?
That was September. So you got your September, October, November, December beat now.
Yeah, you got that. That's cool.
If that shakes out that way,
if it shakes out,
what's out?
Yeah,
October.
Shakes out. But again, those first 6 to 8 months, right? Like they're still, they've got some maneuvering they need to do. They've got to.
Absolutely. So we'll see in due time. We'll monitor it closely. And with that, let's move on to number 2 in our news right up. Over the years, E3 has steadily declined, to say the least. There are a number of reasons for this. In 2019, the data of over 2,000 journalists and analysts who attended the show that year was available for download on the ESA's very own website. In 2020, the pandemic delivered a crushing blow to any and all conventions globally, with E3 having no ideal digital replacement options. In 2021, we saw those efforts and, well, they spoke for themselves. Stream Zoom calls, pointless showcases, and a loss of the magic all accelerated the talk of E3 being sent to its grave. In the years leading up to all of this, the lack of cash flow led to significant changes in the formula of the show itself. What was once a press-exclusive trade show has become open to the public, which then packed the show floor and increased the cost of exhibits. The show steadily lost its identity as companies sought out alternatives a la State of Play and Nintendo Direct, sorry.
That was a good one. That's a different type of conference.
And Nintendo Direct. And that brings us to the start of 2022, where the ESA has already announced their cancellation of E3. In a statement to IGN, the ESA says, quote, due to the ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19 and its potential impact on the safety of exhibitors and attendees, E3 will not be held in person in 2022. We remain incredibly excited about the future of E3 and look forward to announcing more details soon, end quote. Without a date or in-person attendance, it appears that E3 very well may take the digital route yet again with a scattershot of conferences from various companies, big and small, but they have yet to decide if that's actually the plan. Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest is still on for 2022 in the meantime, which will continue to fill the gap that E3 leaves behind. All right. We do have a question from the audience we'll get into, but I want to ask how much you believe this.
Not at all.
Yes,
Shout out
I'm
to
right
the
there
yeah.
with you. I'm right there with you.
Shout out to the, no disrespect, shout out to ESA, but here's the thing, like we've got good sourcing. Shout out to Mike Futter, shout out to Jason. I've heard that answer they're given with Omnicron.
Yeah.
It's Fugazi.
Yeah.
They didn't even have plans to have the dates rented out for the Los Angeles Convention Center. And I do want to talk a little bit about, I'm very passionate about this one, because look, E3 means a lot to me. E3 means a lot to me. It made, in my opinion, Iron Law Podcast who they are. I went as a fan. It was a dream of mine to go. 100%. E3 was it was always this mythical place that it was only reserved for the business types and not the gamer, right? So when I finally got a chance to go finding out about Microsoft FanFest, my whole dream was just get there, the press conferences, be there when, Microsoft or Sony announced something.
Right.
And then I also got a chance to go on the floor and then it took us a while, but I remember getting rejected as media and being disheartened. And then we finally got media. It was such a badge of honor, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where this is. So as far as the downfall to the earlier part, I want to highlight a couple of things, in my opinion, as to why we are in the state we're in. One, I want to shout out Sophia Norwitz because she was the one that actually brought to my attention the initial data leak and the breach. And she got roasted for that unfairly, in my opinion, because in my list, I was on that list. That was like the year we made it, right? So people should know that they had a major data leak, major data breach, media journalists, personal information, all out there. They didn't address it at all initially. So that started the downside. So you got that. Two, Sony pulls out. We could say what we want. PlayStation not there at your E3,
Hurts.
Not taking part of it, big deal. Jeff then, 3, starts to do his own thing, right? He pulls out. Then you've got, like we said, a pandemic, right? You got that. So now you got that. You do the online event one year. It doesn't hit. And now companies are looking at it. We've talked about this, Matty, like where it's like, yo, why do I need to pay all this money for booth space when we could just do the, Microsoft Bethesda conference? We could do Sony Direct. We could do the Nintendo Erect, joking. But, we could do all our own things.
They got good announcements. I mean, that name would fit, but
yeah, people be really excited about that. But at the end of the day, like it just showed, like if you could control your own narrative, like you don't need them, and that's where we are now. And I think it's sad, bro. But for me personally, because I have so many memories, so many relationships, so many things that attributed to who I am and who my platform, what we've become because of it. But sadly, I think the writing's on the wall. I think it's over. I don't think it truly comes back. And I think there will either be a replacement or Jeff takes the realm and it's something else. And it's just too many blows to recover from. And that's where I stand.
I agree. And I'm with you. It's sad. E3, just like you, E3 was a dream. I'm a little upset that my last one was 2018 and you never knew it when you left. Sometimes you don't know when you can say goodbye, right? And none of us anticipated this in the level of like, we'll never be able to just go back physically. Like it was always like, oh, it'll die a different death. And this was it, right? I'm right there with you. It sucks because you finally get there. You get the. I think there's a underlying importance that a lot of people who are already in the mainstream media don't recognize because they're kind of privileged in a sense, which is the ability to put your face behind your content and shake the hands of someone who works on the game and talk to them. That's how a lot of my relationships with these companies, which is important as a content creator to get access to them, is built. When they know genuinely you don't mean anything bad. And they get to know the face behind the content, that you are a genuine person who cares about games and the content you make. It's huge. So E3 was fundamental on that. Like I remember distinctly walking through the show floor and hearing journalists like scoff at me and my friends because we would wear button-ups, dress pants, tie. We'd get ready for the show. We were there. It's our profession, right? And we took it seriously. And I would literally hear journalists talking shit as we walked by. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah. I was like, fuck you guys, whatever.
We'd
show up at the booths. And like the developers, the staff would be hyped. They'd be like, oh, wow, like you guys got dressed up. Like, this is cool. They love that stuff. So like they knew we were about it. Like we were there to give you your fair shake, to take it seriously. So there's a lot of memories there, right? And so I think that's lost in the modern media, who has the war room. They get packed like sardines in the back, banging out articles. It sucks for them. I'm sorry. Doesn't suck for me though. And I'm just saying, like, I get their disgruntled feelings towards it, but I think it really skews what E3 does to people like you and me, which there are just as many of us as there are them.
Yes, absolutely.
With that said, their reasoning here for the cancellation. Not buying it, right? Not buying it. This is a justifiable thing for them to do, to cut the show in person. They're going to cut costs. A lot of people don't realize these companies going all digital cuts costs. It's why previews, which I used to have to fly out to locations, like go to San Francisco to play this game. I don't know why that was such a cool idea to me now or then, because like now I'm thinking to myself, oh, we can just stream this and like I get the same experience. You can download it, get the same experience. And you don't got to travel. It saves them money. They don't got to put you in a hotel, on a plane, treat you like luxury when it's like, look, I just need a place to sleep, man. Like, it's fine. So these companies are cutting costs. ESA is one of them. And they're doing it to save face by blaming the pandemic, because who the fuck is going to argue with the pandemic? Well, we certainly will. Because I see PAX, I see GDC. They're still hanging around.
They're still going.
Yeah. PAX is saying, hey, wear a mask, bring your vaccine card, show you're vaccinated. And look, I'm sorry, but why can't E3 do the same thing? I don't mean to bring this whole thing into it, but like, let's be real, right? Like these other conventions are demanding it. It's your choice if you get it or not, but like they're demanding it. They're saying, you want to come in, this is the game you got to play. Why can't E3 do that? Why can't they do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's because they could, but they've already chosen well beforehand, as reports have said, like back in November, we're not going to do that. And they save face by blaming this.
Exactly. It's a classic, in my opinion, throw in the towel move, save face. You said it wonderfully.
Let's talk to Garrett Gatrist, who writes in, good day, Dukes. With PlayStation, we know what to expect from the likes of Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, and God of War Ragnarok. With Xbox exclusives such as S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, Redfall, and Starfield, we hardly know anything about or what to expect. With news of no E3, at least a physical event, when do you think the next time we will get a showcase from Microsoft to let us know more about these upcoming releases? Thank you guys for the hours of entertainment to help me get through the mundane parts of the week. Our pleasure, Garrett. Now, here's the thing, Cog, right? One thing that can slip our mind here is this was the Microsoft Bethesda E3 show. So they followed the rules of E3 last year, June showcase. What are we doing this year now? The game has changed, right? No E3, so you go in May?
You could. I mean, the thing about it is, if I recall last year, they had the double kind of showcase. They kind of remember third party showcase ahead of that. You've got a lot of options. You're not married to the date. I think they will stay in close proximity only because of Jeff and the Summer Games Fest, and we know
right. How could I forget?
We know we like Jeff, so shout out to Jeff. And then hopefully one of my predictions could actually come true with the whole Kojima joke thing. But I feel strong about it. But I think the cadence will remain the same. I don't think it'll be too far off. And they'll have stuff to talk about during that time. I totally see a situation. The good thing that's going to be beneficial of not doing a physical event kind of thing for them is, from what we hear from developers, are these demos and these putting things together. The timeline, the development cycle takes so much. I actually had this conversation with characters recently on ILP, and we were talking about it. And you'd be surprised how much this kills devs. Yeah. Having to really put together this vertical slice so that you can show people stuff like that. So I still think this stuff will take place. My only question will be, as a result of, because they used to do inside Xbox, and then they kind of went away from that, right? So my curiosity is, these other little smaller shows, do we get pocket showcases also earlier as well? Because last year they had a few events, right? They had the two, then they had a secondary showcase with Paris hosted after that. And I remember, I thought they had, correct me if they had one more after that in the summer.
I think the next one was Gamescom.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And they also
I
had
think
Tokyo Game Show as like a quick
yes,
launch.
yes, correct. I think the cadence stays the same. What do you think in reference to? Do you think anything changes with the
I do.
fact that? Oh,
I do.
let's get it.
Here's the thing. I think the timing, I'm with you. The way you put it, I think put it into perspective. Like, yeah, I think you follow the cadence. Here's the change I'm going for. Bethesda gets their own show this year.
Ooh, okay,
This
okay.
year. I think last year was a very specific show because you had to put Bethesda up front first, right? Todd Howard, first guy on stage, to sort of make it about them, not Xbox. It's a good public facing move. Now this year, I'm sorry, I just cannot fathom Xbox and Bethesda stuffing all of what they need to do in one showcase because Todd Howard, I know he's not budging. He needs his big thing on stage to talk about and explain all the systems. And with a new IP, why would it change now? With Fallout 4, it's like you could just say it's Fallout, here's 10 minutes of gameplay, let's move on. It cannot change here with Starfield. So I feel like that eats up a lot of your conference time. We already know Xbox got a lot of reveals that they got to do, a lot of games they got to show off. Not only that, third-party deals to meet. I think you do either your own Starfield event, your own Bethesda event. I really, really, truly believe that. I think it's at least an option we got to entertain. Is it a guarantee? No, but I'm putting it out there. I think it's something that they might at least consider doing if they're going to go the 30-minute to 45-minute route that Todd Howard has historically gone. Because we know, like, here's the thing. When Bethesda was doing their own show, the reason they did that as well was because they had, like, a small window of games that were ready. And in the case of the 2015 showcase, they did it because everything synchronized at once. So they had like a Dishonored 2, they had a Wolfenstein, they had so much to show off. But in the case of Xbox, we know there's way, 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 way more, not only first party, but third party front. And Bethesda's big enough to do their own thing with their own IP. I feel like if you're a part of the Summer Games Fest, you have your own Starfield event and show it off as close to launch as possible because that's what Todd likes. So that's where I'm at with it.
You're selling me. You're selling me.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I thought I was going to get a little pushback.
No, you're actually making me think about it. Like, it's almost like last year was, the new marriage. Okay, we're together.
Right.
We're going to be fair. We're going to try to. Right. But traditionally, Bethesda has operated on their own and they have enough content on their own, especially with the 18 big release of a Starfield. And we know, Todd wants to talk about it. You're right. And I think where you're selling me is the fact that, one, the time required for the in-depth nature that Bethesda likes to showcase their stuff that's going to release that same year, combined with the fact that we do know Microsoft is going to have a lot more stuff to at least talk about for the future that's going to require time as well. Yeah. So you don't have to necessarily make them compete against each other, step on each other's feet. You could separate those conferences and serve both purposes. So I could see a scenario like that. I think you might be selling me.
Yeah,
honestly.
like I was thinking in my head when I was reading this news, I'm like, do you do what Forza Horizon did? You do about 10 minutes of Starfield? I'm like, no, like this is their big holiday game. And it should be a part of their E3 showcase. But I think they need to act not as like a cadence, kind of like what you were, what the word you were using, where every year Xbox Bethesda. It's like this is a year where Bethesda Game Studios, who launches a game every 4 to 5 years, is coming around. Give them their own event next year. Xbox Bethesda, the year after Xbox Bethesda, like work flexibly, right? Like this is especially now with things changing, E3 possibly being put out of the picture. We don't need to follow the rules of one showcase. It's rigid. Everything packed into this thing.
The game has changed. Yeah,
it has. And not only that, but let's be honest with ourselves. And I can't imagine these companies don't think of this. How many games do you see throughout a showcase? Like, oh, that's sick. And then suddenly it's like a week later and you see it again in the feed. And you're like, oh shit, I forgot. I like that one.
Forgot about that.
Right? Give them time to breathe. Like stretch out the fun. Make it Christmas 2.0, right? You got your big conference. And then you've got the Starfield event. You've got, like, I just feel like individual showcases for your big games makes them larger celebrations. I really do.
I like it. I guess the only question is not even a pushback. I guess the only question is how, as a company, they view it. Because I'm very curious to see. Obviously, they did Bethesda Microsoft for a reason last year, right? They wanted. I thought it was more like, yo, let's be honest. That was more of, them games ain't coming to your other consoles, fam, kind of a thing. They were very because remember, that was still the talk. Yeah, that was still the talk. Oh, it could still come and to other platforms. And no, this is they're with us, right?
Right.
So now that you've established that it's without a shadow of a doubt, we got that. Maybe it does go to what you're saying, but I'm curious to see who wins not like it's an internal fight, but who wins that? Does Todd and them guys say, hey, we got our own game. We bend the knee, and Microsoft say, you know what? Yeah, you guys need this. Starfield's coming out this year. Knock it out, right? Or does Microsoft say, hey, you still with us? Maybe we don't have enough this year as we thought, and we're going to need you to stay in
possible,
here.
Right? They might, but like it's a very realistic possibility. They don't want to show too much too early. Like, why do we have to show the 2023 games? Let's remove all of those, just go all in on 2022 and have like a 20-minute Starfield showcase at the end. That's also possible, right? The flexibility has to be within my own mind here as well. Like I'm always saying, Todd has to do 30 minutes, does he? Maybe 20. And then you can fit that in at the end. Again, though, as someone who sat there and whined a bit during the Forza 10-minute trailer, I would feel bad if someone didn't like Starfield and sat there for double that time, right? So that's why making its own separate thing, maybe. Just a thought.
Let's see. My last point, I think there's some fluidity to the situation.
Sure.
Remember, we just talk about Stalker 2 right now. We just talk about delay. Like, there's still so many unknowns on deliverables. Are these games really going to hit these targets? And we're starting to see some dominoes fall already. So I think all of that factors into which way this thing goes. Right. And I just want to see how it plays out. But you got me thinking, bro. It's still a strong possibility.
That's all I could ask of the audience and you. It's just like entertain the idea. Let your mind run a little bit and then scream at me in the comments and we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to number 3. This one's really interesting. Phil Spencer recently participated in an interview with New York Times where he opened up on a number of things. One of the hottest topics to come out of the conversation he had was where Xbox and Activision's relationship currently stands. Phil had the following to say when asked if any action was taken in response to the tumultuous year that Activision had experienced. Quote, the work we do specifically with a partner like Activision is something that obviously I'm not going to talk publicly about. We have changed how we do certain things with them, and they're aware of that. But this isn't about for us as Xbox virtue shaming other companies. Xbox's history is not spotless. This conversation would continue into the political positioning of Xbox as a company and where the brand stands on such a matter. Quote, we see all positives and negatives of the human condition. We have people who propose to each other on Xbox Live. We also have conversations about politics and other things that happen. One of the things we've stated about our social network is we're not a free speech platform. We're a platform around interactive entertainment and video games. And we're not there to allow all kinds of social discourse to happen on our platform. That's not why we exist. We're not there to allow any conversation to happen on our platform. It's very difficult to come to Xbox Live and say, okay, I want to create a political party on the platform, end quote. Phil also touched on the current supply and success of the Xbox Series consoles. Quote, supply is actually as big as it's ever been. It's that demand is exceeding the supply for all of us. At this point, we've sold more of this generation of Xboxes, which is Xbox Series X and S, than we had any previous version of Xboxes. So our job is to get the supply there to meet that demand, end quote. GamesIndustry.biz reported today Xbox Series S and X hit 1 million UK sales in a strong December. 560,000 game consoles were sold in December in the UK, which generated just short of 200 million euros. Switch was the number one console in December. Just behind Nintendo was the Xbox Series S and X consoles, which enjoyed a big month at 100% increase month-on-month sales. In fact, it is the biggest month yet for the Xbox Series consoles, beating out the launch month in November 2020. That increase was driven by an increase in stock that was significant for the Series X version of the console. Not only that, but there have now been over 1 million Series console sales for the UK since its launch. So this means that PS5 will slip into the third position of that month while still successful. And not only that, but there was a sales chart in this GameIndustry.biz article that in the top 20 sales for physical and digital games in December 2021, you did not see Halo Infinite and you did not see Forza Horizon 5. Granted, we're pulling from 1 million consoles in total, so it is hard for it to chart. But we're talking about games like Far Cry, GTA 5 again, beating it out, like top 20. It was a wide pool to dip in, but a lot here to talk about, from politics to virtue shaming with Activision, and of course the supply things. Phil really got pressed here in this New York Times interview. Cog, please start wherever you'd like on this one.
There is so much to unpack here.
I
Shout
know.
out to Phil, man. When he's outside, there's always stuff to talk about. But yeah, this New York Times show that I read the transcript for, this was intense. And I have to say, the actual interviewer really challenged him. I've never seen Phil challenged multiple times in a way. And I guess we could start with the political stuff, the virtual shit. Like,
sure.
Here's the thing. I understand the point of, you say, hey, your platform is your platform, and we're only going to allow this type of stuff to happen, and we're not going to allow that type of stuff to happen. The only thing that I found interesting when it came to the Activision stuff was there were no specifics as to, it was a general statement as to, hey, we're not going to publicly talk about it, but our relationship has changed. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to come from crazy, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what does that really mean? We don't know what that means, right? So I don't know what to make of that because there's no information, right? And the thing about it, well, I was very surprised, Matty. Like, the interviewer would not let him go on that. Like, what about what they did to women, and what about this, and then, like it was on and on. And look, I will give him credit in the sense that no corporation's house is completely spotless or clean, right? And I was impressed that he said that. That part I did like, because I was like, okay, you know what? That's real. I can respect that. But at the same time, people all want to know what this action is, so they don't seem to really want to talk about that. That's maybe for another discussion as to why that is. But as far as everything else, I felt like which we didn't mention here, he touched about some metaverse stuff. He felt that gaming already is kind of doing that stuff already in the space and Roblox and all that other stuff. The sales part was surprising. I'll be honest, because it was a little bit of a flex in the sense that obviously they're not usually transparent, and not that they spelled it out, but you could do the math with what he said, which was like, yo, we've shipped as much as ever, right? So shout out to Daniel Ahmad, who came out and they said, well, that would mean they would be between, at least 12 million, which is impressive, So it goes to show you, with the stock, when they're available, people want it. And what I grabbed from that, for me personally, was a lot of people question the dual launch strategy. And what it showed me, I mean, you even said it briefly yourself, like you got, the girlfriend, the S, right? It goes to show you the S is wanted. This was an actual really good approach. Available. And it was available, right? So whether it be the availability, but basically what it shows, the demand is there, which is good. And the last part I'll say is UK. And that to me resonates because they've been losing ground there for a while, especially last year. Like, I felt I don't know what happened, and I want to give Jim Ryan and those guys credit because they dominated that region. That's another reason why Jim Ryan ascended to where he's at PlayStation, his domination of that region. Because Colin eloquently put it, I think it was Ken Katarugi back in the day, says, tell us, Japanese, like, tell us why your business is failing in Europe. Hey, come into the room and get lashed and tell us why your business sucks in this region. And he turned it around. So to see Xbox improve in that region, very promising. Series S. And the very last point, we got to talk about that. No, in UK at least, the Halo and the Forza and where y'all at? Like, I thought, that retail, it would be there, but maybe it goes to show you the Game Pass thing is so big. People are like, yo, it's in there. I'm going to get it on Game Pass. I'm not going to buy it. So I leave it all to you. I'm curious. There's a ton of stuff to hit here. Where you want to attack?
Yeah, I'll just go in order, I guess, right? I'll start off with the Activision stuff. I found this response particularly interesting because I agree with Phil on his stance. Just like you said, like no company doesn't have pretty much skeletons in their closet. it's why it's really weird when they step out and virtue signal and kind of go like, yeah, what's good with this, man? Why aren't you running your company like this, like us? And then you find out like they got their own problems. Happened right away to PlayStation. PlayStation came out. We denounced what's happening at Activision, and boom, suddenly there was a workplace issue that they were legally being pushed for when it came to treatment of gender. So immediately you start pointing the finger, it gets pointed right back at you. So it's a dangerous game to play for these companies. So it's good to know Phil's self-aware. That said, I have to say, I don't think it's reflected in a lot of their public communication as a company. You still see them getting in on various political issues, various social movements, and that's fine. But we're talking out of both sides of our mouth a little bit here is what I'm sort of seeing. You're giving the right answer. And what I personally like to see out of a company, which is like, look, do your thing. Stop acting like you're above everyone else. You got your own problems. Go worry about them. It's not your job to run Activision. I agree with that. But with Activision, I do have to put out there, we're having the state of California investigate them. There is physical evidence that we've seen. It's a pretty tragic occurrence, what has happened within Activision and has been happening for years. It is up to companies like Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, to put on that pressure. But it is also up to the consumers to decide what they want to do with their wallet. Kind of like we talked about with Tencent. Selective investments, right? Be smart about it. Just knowing that. That's how you put the pressure on them. So I don't know why Xbox doesn't have an issue stepping out and talking about certain things, but they won't talk about this one. To me, probably contractual, but still
relationships
doesn't line up quite well. And so what I said in my video was this could be like a profit sharing change where they're like, we've moved you down 1%. It's like now you've changed your relationship with them, but have you really have you just given them a slap on the wrist? Right. So there's that. I'll save the political thing actually for the end because I think there's a lot to be said on that one. When it comes to the supply thing, this was great to see. One of the defining Duke questions we got a lot about was their expansion in the UK, because I think some lack of knowledge on my front was exposed because I was like mentioning how they don't have many first-party studios there. And you're like, well, there's Playground and we also have Ninja Theory. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Like, right. So this makes sense on how they're establishing themselves in this region and what the sales numbers or really lack thereof for Xbox told me on the software front is UK likes Game Pass. Obviously, again, we're pulling or we're taking from a pool of 1 million consoles. So yeah, of course, like their sales numbers will be lower as they grow in that region. But the fact that it didn't even chart in the top 20 when Forza Horizon 5, I saw past 15 million players, to me says, well, yeah, people are getting the Xbox, but they're not getting the games unless it's on Game Pass, which Xbox probably likes. What this says to me is you can add another 1 million to Game Pass. Its total subscriber number. I think they're growing there a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And I also in that article, he mentioned about the dual approach again, which is the subscription value in having people go that way with Game Pass, as well as he talked about the differentiator. And what I liked of what he said is that between them and Netflix, and he said it's not a one-to-one because he said Netflix doesn't allow you to retail buy the movie. And that point's valid, right? You still have the option. And he said he doesn't want to eliminate that aspect again of the business. So it goes with that multifaceted approach that we've been talking about. So you're eloquently saying with UK, that region is just right now. It appears to be the Game Pass region because we know those games are massive. We and you talked about how's Halo going to do, how's Forza going to do when the NPDs come out. This is kind of like their version in this small sample size of UK, consoles of NPD, so to speak, right? And we're seeing, it's not even in the top 20, and we know that game did well. So what does it say? It says, Game Pass is a significant mover for that region, and they're willing to invest in that way. So it's interesting to see how this chart. We're coming up on MPD soon, I believe, for the US. I want to see how that goes. Where do those two kind of line up on retail and stuff like that? But either way, it just goes to show that both ways of entry are fine with Microsoft. They are cool with whatever way you want to, and they don't seem that one. They basically don't say that one has to, can't coexist without the other. Is what I'm basically saying.
And then the last part about not being a free speech platform was surprisingly like an aggressive stance by Phil. Very much chest out on this one.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of feathers ruffled by that. I think he didn't word this one the best. Because when I read this, I was thinking of stuff like racism, sexual harassment, and like Overwatch. You can go find clips online of like women streaming the game and they'll talk in game chat and just like, boom, right on them.
Yeah.
So I think that's more so what he's referring to. But I think on the political platform side of things, like Biden in Animal Crossing, Twitch, AOC streams, like I think that's what he's sort of dialing in on is like, look, you can talk politics with your friends. We're not going to stop you. You can DM someone about politics. We're not going to stop you. But if you start to do Halo themed skins with Biden's face on the back of your Spartan suit, like we're not going to do that. And I respect that. I think that's fine. Like I think a lot of people play games to get away from what we see with politics and the constant ethics checks that we're always going through. It's a break away from all that. So I was kind of happy to see this. Again, I think the way he worded it could have been better. But you know, it should have been more like we don't tolerate bad treatment on our platform. I don't know if saying it's not a free speech platform, because people were saying in the comments like, well, I'm not getting an Xbox then. Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I understand. I'm with you. I understood the sentiment, but maybe the way it came across, if someone will try to take it verbatim and try to spin it against him, I could see how that could get some negative backlash in reference to the whole free speech platform part, because you're making a good point. You know, I think I understand what he's saying, but yeah, like, you know, it's that fine line that they have to walk. I respect the chest out on some level, you know, with really kind of putting your foot in the ground and saying what your platform is willing to accept or not. But we also have to understand too, and I think shout out to S.T.A.L.K.E.R, he's got a video out right now, you know, that there are things that they're okay with that are political at some levels as well, right? So it's like we have to be fair and balanced as well. But look,
well, it's what happens in general with the political landscape. Not to interrupt you, but just like what happened is like we've started to make ethics politics. Like your personal beliefs and the person you are your politics. So now them doing like Black History Month stuff is considered political, right?
Right.
And I mean, that's sort of the world we live in now. But please continue.
No, it's just like I said, these are the subjects where, look, man, the world is unfortunately not black and white. There's a lot of gray. You know what I'm saying? And these are those gray area, and you have to be ready to be challenged in that. And I think that's what this is what I got from this article. Like he was challenged. I've never, like, she was on him. She would not let him go. And she was like, yeah, but you didn't answer the question about, you know, the political stuff. You didn't answer the question about Activision. You didn't answer that. Like I forgot this woman's name. Like she was on him, man. Like I've never seen this level of not allowing the corporate speak to slide and move on to the next question. This was
Fisher, I believe is her name.
Yes, I highly recommend this. You guys check this out. It was impressive, and you know, to his credit, for the most part, he stood in the line and he answered a lot of the tough questions as best as he could. So that's what I got out of this.
Il, come on our show. We'll give you an easier time. I'll ask you what the fuck's going on with Fallout. Like, come on, that's the toughest question.
I ain't snowballing them on Ross in
the room. All right. Let's look at number 4 here. The first big acquisition of 2022 has arrived, with multiple more expected to arise as we head deeper into the year. The purchaser is Take-Two, who has acquired developer Zynga for the staggering price of $12.7 billion, marking it as the largest ever video game acquisition ever, and even dwarfing the $7.5 billion purchase Xbox made of Bethesda. The deal is expected to close June 30th, 2022. Zynga is responsible for games like Farmville, Words with Friends, and High Heels, which are gigantic financial successes. Currently, they are working on the free-to-play Star Wars Hunters, which is in development for Switch, iOS, and Android. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick opened up on the reasoning behind such a gargantuan investment when they already have lucrative properties like the 2K sports franchises and GTA. Quote, "We see tremendous untapped potential to bring Take-Two's renowned console and PC properties to mobile, a high-priority initiative that will be energized by the addition of Zynga's leading development, publishing, and live operations teams," end quote, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said in an investor call on Monday. We have Neo JD writing in saying, what do you guys think of Take-Two buying Zynga? It makes sense, but the price of $12.7 billion is bonkers to me. Do you guys think the mobile market is worth that, chasing that one company? It costs almost double of what Microsoft paid for all of Bethesda. Thanks, and hope you have a, damn, I already got all the Halo Infinite unlockables I could this week kind of day.
Salute. Yeah, this one was an eye raiser, man. This one was like, wow. Take-Two is out there, man. Zynga, look, it goes to show you, we talked about Tencent on the Ultimate, right? And we talked about their origins also. And a lot of that success started with mobile. It really did. And Take-Two wants a piece of that. Listen, if they're willing to invest this much, they are seeing these mobile games out here moving. And what I gather from this is you look at Take-Two's catalog and what they have. And if you can mobilize some of your franchise into this sphere and you can get an NBA 2. Look, NBA 2K is one of the most egregious microtransaction games known to man. I love it, but I had to stop. It was just, I was ended up paying $100 to create my characters. I can have the shoes and the jump shot I want and the attributes I want. Like, it's ridiculous. I was like, this is drug. I can't. I got to stop this. I had to wipe myself clear. NBA. It's just too much. So could you imagine this on a console space where you already paid a $60 entry? Now you do Maddie's unfavorite free to play. Yeah, guys, go touch. You have a basic generic whatever, but here's Jake from State Farm, and here's all this other stuff, bro. It snowballs, and I think PUBG showed in that space when you have the mobile version, you can eat all these games that they're sitting on. Grand Theft Auto, like it's gonna start, bro. Like they see it's a piece of the pie. It's an old gangster movie. It's called The King of New York. Right. And your man goes, if a nickel bag gets sold in the park, I want in. That's what's going on. It's a classic line. This is a King of New York moment for Take-Two. They see what's going on in that park. They want this mobile money, and they are going to get a part of that. And that's what this is. So, yeah, it's staggering to us as the hardcore gaming because we're like, yo, almost double Bethesda. Are you crazy? Like,
right.
Wow. But they seeing that revenue, bro. I'm telling you.
Right. No, it's very well put. And this has been happening for a while, right? We saw Candy Crush purchased by Activision for almost $6 billion, I believe it was. I want to say it was $5.9 billion to be exact. So mobile market continues to grow with Take-Two's franchises there. Mafia is another one. Like you can make a Mafia city runner sim as like a mobile game and cash in on that. They're just going for the big bag here, right? And Zynga, you're paying for a company that's known to do this and do it well, right? And so here we are in this free-to-play market where, we're also talking about a buyer's market, right? These prices are going to go up. We're going to see some pretty staggering ones as time goes on. And this is going to probably be the highest one for some time at least. We'll see right now, like a hypothetical Xbox getting Warner Bros. Games, like what that would actually look like with those IP in tow. So it'll be interesting to see how everything scales out because we've seen ones like Insomniac just coming a little bit too early, right?
Yep.
And then Bethesda was the overpay, and it's like, well, are they overpaying for Zynga? Where in the long run they'll probably make like 20% of that back in 1 year,
yeah.
And again, we know that these companies don't work on that level. We know that money's just sitting in the bank. They pulled it out. They're like, okay, here you go. Welcome to the team. Let's move on to number 5. Xbox fans have long hungered to get their hands on Final Fantasy VII Remake, which made its way to PC over the holidays and called PlayStation its home since 2020. With Final Fantasy 16 on the horizon, also set to be a third-party exclusive, it's clear that Square Enix is locking this franchise in with one platform. To twist a knife for some Xbox fans, it's Video Game Chronicles' Jordan Midler, who took to a Reset Era forum to discuss the status of these deals. Quote, most of Square's stuff will end up on Xbox, but I wouldn't hold out hope for Final Fantasy unless something changes. Sony wants PlayStation to be the home of Final Fantasy this gen. Final Fantasy VII was supposed to be on Xbox by now, but here we are. It's interesting to see Ubisoft side with Xbox more and more this gen, while Square is firmly in Sony's camp, even beyond what's publicly known. This is a cool move, but I wonder what we'll be looking at for Ultimate plus Ubi. Square is keen, to keep putting everything on PC, even if the ports aren't great. We're looking at timed exclusives. So this is something that we keep going back to, right? What's going on with Final Fantasy and Xbox? Because if you remember, this has to be ongoing for a while. When Xbox made one of their big Game Pass announcements, they were like, we're going to get all the Final Fantasy games on Game Pass at once. And they stopped, and they gradually came over time as certain ones left. And that is just a thing of the past. It's a promise of the past. It's not happening. Now we're hearing that the deals are moving forward. We already know a couple of them publicly. There's some behind the scenes. Obviously not a big surprise here, but Cog, what do you make of the latest rumor that it's a Square Sony world over there?
Let me shout out my boy, Lord Addict. This burns his soul right here.
Oh, yeah.
This is the stuff he's been warning us about. He's been like, Cog, I'm telling you, man, something ain't right. This should have happened. And he's on it. He's on it because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, the rules of engagement have changed. The rules of engagement. Once Microsoft became, in my opinion, this aggressive with Game Pass, Sony said, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
You can put these games, you MLG, our studio. Oh, okay, cool. And it's like documenting. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now you start making deals with publishers. That can't come on Game Pass if it's coming to us. Then you start saying, oh, Final Fantasy. It eerily reminds me of Destiny in a way where Sony had exclusivity that just kept secretly getting extended and extended. And everybody's like, what is going on? When is the Xbox platform going to get these exotics and this content that continues to reside on Sony's platform? That's what bags are being dropped. Checks are being cut. Sony recognizes the importance of that game. And they know that game, Final Fantasy VII, Remake, all that Final Fantasy content on an Xbox platform weakens them. I got to give Sony credit too. They recognize pulse of the culture games.
Yeah.
They recognize it, right? I don't know if this is going on with Persona, but I don't know. But there are certain games that the hardcore community recognizes these are pulse of the culture game. These move the timeline, and it's evident. This thing should have been here by now, man. Yeah. So what you think, man?
Yeah, when it comes to PlayStation here, I think it's really Square Enix being the mercenaries of gaming, as I so aptly like to call them. They're securing a bag from PlayStation to keep it off of Xbox. They're securing a bag from Epic to keep it off of Steam. They're taking the guaranteed money. And you're seeing them act this way because they've had a couple of creator moves in the past, right? Most notably, most recently, was Marvel Avengers, which they undoubtedly expected to be so big. And it was such a disappointment that they not only cast the blame on Crystal Dynamics, but unofficially cast them out to Xbox and said, you can have them. They can work with you on Perfect Dark. They can be your grunts. We don't want them. And I would be stunned if Xbox doesn't eventually buy them post Perfect Dark. So what's happened is Square, they're being a bunch of mercs, man. They're going out there and they're taking the bags. They're doing the job. And they're getting the money for their company that they've sort of been shortchanged on certain ends. So they're like, oh, you want Final Fantasy? Pony up. Oh, okay, we're bringing it to Steam. Who wants it? Who wants to pay? And that's
who said that? Who says Square was out here eating or playing both sides against each other, bro?
Worse than Bethesda. They're worse than Bethesda.
Yeah, they're worse, bro. This is mercenary level stuff. You put it well. I had to interrupt. Okay,
no, you're good. Well. The only thing I want to, I can't just keep my mouth shut on this one. The shoulder shrugging I'm seeing for this with Final Fantasy. It's not from a company that's owned by a particular publisher. It's like, well, it's exclusive. Okay, sure. That's fine, right? I'm not bitching up a storm, but until Xbox not clarified once, twice, but 3 goddamn times about Elder Scrolls and Starfield, did we finally stomach down this would be exclusive? And I got to know, again, I got to call out to the media. What's happening? What's happening, dog? Because there has been some serious shoulder shrugging about a third-party deal here that's quietly being moved along the chain more and more. but we're writing articles about Starfield, a company that is making a new IP that is now owned by Xbox. Like, this is the head scratcher. This is the moment that we put our foot down and go, fuck that. I'm just saying, I got to call out this hypocrisy because I've seen it. Again, this only one website, WFCC Tech, covered this here and was like, what's going on here? Outside of that, I did not see anyone else talking about it because, again, it's the perspective. This dates back to Xbox One. Remember Rise of the Tomb Raider? Remember that?
Yeah. Ooh, talk about
remember
it,
that?
Talk to him.
And look, I was there. I could imagine me being the little follower I was in college, just probably all like, hey, fuck you, Xbox. What are you guys doing? You want your own Uncharted, huh? PlayStation's been doing the whole damn thing. They invented this idea. And it's because of the perception. Like PlayStation, it's expected they do this. But you know damn well, if Xbox has been holding down Final Fantasy for this long, look at Stalker 2.
Bro.
3 months. Look at Death's Door. 5 months. Like you're telling me, come on.
Yeah, bro, let's talk about it. I'm so glad you said it because I was going to leave it alone, but I'm so glad you said it because it had to be said. And this is what we're talking about. It's just like the hypocrisy. It's like, how dare Microsoft lock down something exclusive to their platform? Like, what are you going to do to those poor, I'm not trying to fanboy here, but we got to be real. Like, what are you going to do with those poor PlayStation owners who are just not going to be able to get the experience? It's unfair. That a franchise didn't develop with you, yet we see these kind of moves happen and with Final Fantasy, and there's like, what's the Joker reference? No one bats an eye, right? No one, like there's no outrage, there's no because in some people's mind, that's what's supposed to be, right? So what? It's deprived of the Xbox fan, like that. We just gotta be fair. Let's just call it.
You can't be selectively outraged.
You can't be selectively outraged if you're gonna feel that strongly. And listen, for the record, I already told you, Cog, I'm gonna go where I'm gonna go in the version I choose where it's at. Final Fantasy, that's once I found out what's over there. Yup, here we go. Colin, call me when you need me for the next Final Fantasy 7 Remake spoiler cast because I love doing those. But yeah, like, bro, like, I'm going over there because that's the way it is. But if we were to go letter to the law, media fairness, all that stuff, there is literally not the same energy when Sony locks down exclusive. We just got to call it what it is. It's just not. And whether it be because they won the generation last year that they're considered the market darling and that's where people want to play. But at the end of the day, it's not fair to Xbox where now we see this and it's not coming. It's not coming. Bro, this should have been here already. And it just, again, that's secret.
Said to be coming. Yeah,
right.
Thing.
Yeah, it's said to be coming. Like, we have nothing. So, yeah, and it's that secret extension behind the scenes stuff that we see kind of thing. And at the end of the day, look, for the record, I am not mad at Sony for doing what Sony is doing. What we're talking about is the media and the perception and the lack of outrage when Microsoft had to get on a podium multiple times. Yes, it's not coming. Starfield is with us. Yes, but what do you mean? Never? But maybe? Maybe like it's that type of discussion. And it's just, I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to leave it alone, but I'm so glad you brought it up because it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the truth.
Yeah. And I was looking at the Intergrade end trailer shop, which is available on PS5 at least 6 months earlier than any other format. And this article from tomsguide.com says, with the PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Intergrade expansion due to launch June 10th, that means the title would only be playable on PlayStation hardware until January 2022 at least. By that point, any PC or Xbox player who has patiently waited 18 months while avoiding spoilers should deserve some kind of medal. So... Yeah. It's possible, but if they've extended it again quietly, keep an eye out.
And last point I'll say is, again, I'm not mad at Sony as to why they do it, but it's also, you got to be honest, right? We're in this age of delay, right? We're in this age of, what's the release cadence and stuff like that. And if you have these things locked down to kind of supplement your launch lineups for the year, it makes you stronger and it makes the Xbox fan who was holding out say, you know what, this thing ain't never gonna come. I'm gonna have to go get a PlayStation. This is what they want, right? That's part of why you do it. And the same thing with Microsoft and Bethesda. It's like, okay, you don't think we have games, so to speak? hey, we've got one of the best publishers to ever do single player RPG stuff over here. You want to play that? You're going to have to come over. And as a gamer, you make those decisions. You go where the games are on a version that you like. And that's how you do it.
Absolutely. Let's move into number 6. Dying Light 2 accidentally gave the entire internet trauma when posting that completing Techland's latest effort would clock in at a staggering 500 hours, comparing it to a walk from Warsaw to Madrid. Twitter didn't take kindly to that, unsurprisingly so, and with that arrived this follow-up tweet, quote, 500 hours is related to maxing out the game, finishing all quests, endings, and exploring every part of the world, but a regular player should finish the story and side quests and do quite a lot of exploring in less than 100 hours. So don't worry, end quote. Still rattling the internet to their very core that an open world game is extremely long, something we've never seen before, another follow-up was demanded where they wrote, quote, we want to clarify our recent communication about the amount of hours required to complete the game. Dying Light 2 Stay Human is designed for players with different gameplay styles and preferences to explore the world how they see fit, end quote. The newly posted graphic shows that the story will take about 20 hours to complete, an average of 80 hours to finish the main story and all side content, and that 500 hours remains true if you account for all main/side quest choices and endings, checking every place on the map, experiencing every piece of dialogue, and finding every collectible the game has to offer.
All right. I'm going to let you kick this off.
Okay. I saw this, and while it was a bad look, I went, obviously not. 500 hours? Obviously not. Like, clearly, we've seen for years game companies inflate their hours. Like, I'd be shocked if this even takes 20 hours, by the way. I'd be shocked if it takes about 20 hours to beat this game because they always inflate it, because it's better to see that and under-deliver for a game reviewer than to get it and then have it be way longer. So I'd be shocked if this even clocks in at 20 hours. So when I saw this, I was a little caught off guard seeing how many industry pundits responded in kind and were like, oh, this is horrible. Because I'm like, yeah, this would be horrible if it were actually believable, if this were actually a true average. But they're just marking how much content is in the game. I think that was a mistake on Techland's behalf. They should have marked like, here's how many main quests, side quests, yada, yada we have, and kind of laid it out that way, collectible counts, all of that. But they were trying to say, like, in a day and age where you got a lot of games coming out, if you buy ours, you can spend a lot of time with it.
Exactly.
Which I think there's value to that. They're releasing in a highly competitive window. You got to know, if you buy Dying Light 2, this shit will keep you busy. You can come back to this one. You can see different endings and whatnot. We'll see if that's actually true when reviews come out and when people play it for themselves. But I did think this was an unreasonable overreaction. I think a reaction and response was demanded, but like the level I was seeing online, I thought was a little extreme. I want to pass it to you. Were you incensed by this at all?
No, like you
I can hear you. I'm just going to open my window real quick.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it was literally what you said. I looked at it like, bro, this is clearly marketing speak. like I am not going to get emotional about that because they're trying to sell their game. And in a day and age where these open world games and all these games are trying to show value, trying to show, hey, this is why you need to play with us, bro. Like, we give you 500. You could have all these possibilities. It's part of the marketing bullet points in a trailer. Right. So I don't get caught up on all of that stuff. And the way I look at it is like, OK, the competition is great. It's thick. There's other games that they know people are going to have attention is. And if you like this franchise, hey, you're going to be able to live in this world. And generally, most games, when you look at the trailers, I think of like a Ghost of Tsushima. I think of like all the open world type stuff. They give you these panoramic shots and they give you this vibe, right? They like, yo, look at this beautiful world. Look at all the things you can do, you know, and then Dying Light with the cooperative and all that stuff. Like, this is, again, in my opinion, bullet points on a trailer to sell you into the purchase that, yo, don't buy them other games, right? Because, yo, if you buy this, yo, you gonna be good. You got all this stuff. That's all it is. I ain't getting crazy with this. And I was surprised that they had to jump into the 2 statement thing. Like, I was kind of surprised.
I felt a little bad for them. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I thought again that I thought their second clarification was fine enough. Like, hey, this will take under 100 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the fact that they had to over-explain, this is the problem with Twitter. We had to over-explain how long an open world game was. Like the nature of an open world game is these are big, long, time investments. It's why you hear a lot of people use the term open world fatigue, because they're such heavy investments. They're not your Uncharted's, they're not your Hellblades where you can hop in for 8 to 10 hours and wash your hands of it. It's a guided adventure. Open worlds are typically at minimum 20 to 30 hours if you're just doing side content. So I felt bad for Techland because they really had to, in my eyes, over-explain something that is common knowledge and spell it out to almost look foolish and be like, it's actually 80-ish to finish all the side quests and main story stuff. It's like, come on, like this is, it's an open world game.
Yeah, but let's just say hypothetically it was 500. It's like, so what? If you don't want to do 500, don't buy it, don't play it. Like, why are you mad that, why are people mad that was offered, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not for you if you don't want to play. If that was literally the amount of gameplay hours in the game. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and I'm not going for false advertisement here and saying, like, just let them run wild with it. Like, we've been through the Peter Molyneux era of, like, just the wild shit that would come out of his mouth that just would never be in the game. But, I mean, again, I didn't think or expect or reason out the idea this is 500 hours for one playthrough.
Right.
And with a game that, by its framework, they showcased in multiple gameplay trailers, like, here's a choice you can make in a quest, and here's how it's going to go. Like, oh, okay, so there's going to be, for every quest you do, an alternative that's going to double your hours. Like,
right.
That's the nature of it. Like, that's a good RPG, right? When BioWare puts out a 25 to 30 hour game, and it's like, well, this is actually like a 100-hour game if you see and do everything. It's like, that's and this game's going the choice route. So.
Absolutely.
Unsurprising to me, but I digress.
Agreed.
Let's get into number 7, final bit of news here. Halo Infinite is finally going to be patching Big Team Battle and cheating. This is likely to release in February this year. I fired up this game for the first time, Cog, in a couple weeks. I've been, as I said, during holiday break and stuff, I was in my single player, palette cleansing bag. And I was going through it, and I was like, man, things are starting to unravel a little bit here, I think. This is a game that I think has lurked in the shadow of Battlefield, with that game being such a tragic, broken experience in many ways, and a frustrating development experience for those who are tracking it closely and seeing, like, oh, they're on another vacation, and the fixes we're looking for in Battlefield, we're going to be waiting for. I think Halo's really benefited from just being in that shadow, where they got their own problems now. Some of them, which I think have been created with subsequent patches, where, like, I don't remember these big team battle issues being a thing around launch, and they're certainly a thing now. And I was experiencing them as I had a group of 5. We were getting together, trying to queue up, and we were like, okay, one of my friends is like, I'm going to go play something else. You guys play 4 of you. We had to play something else. That sucks, right? That sucks that one of us had to bounce. And you were nodding your head. You really wanted to get into this, so I want to dish it to you. How are you feeling about the news and sort of where the game's at right now?
Yeah, this has been a sour spot, and I'm glad that 343 is actually talking about it and addressing it. Shout out to Jess Corden, who had an article on this. He's been very, very frustrated, and he makes some good points. The compelling argument, the fact that, you have a cross-play title, right, with console playing against PC, where it's kind of the default setting. You gotta kind of turn it off to matchmake. And fundamentally, Xbox as a whole was always saying, like, yo, we never gonna force that type of interaction, right? But Halo's default setting kind of led that way. And then what's happening is you're starting to see the grieving, you're starting to see the aimbot, you're starting to see the hacks where people are like, yo, bro, you ain't that good. There's no way you could have shot me. He's got the examples. You see the tweets, you see the little examples of people utilizing that. And as far as big team battle, that definitely got to get fixed, because the mode, from my understanding, if you're a single player going into big team battle, the matchmaking is much easier. It'll load you up, queue up. But let's say you're bringing the homies, like, say, yo, we got 6 on right now. Come on, let's go. That's where it's becoming a problem, right? And you couple that, then you couple with the PC and the cheat and stuff like that. They've got to get ahead of this, because, again, if you don't tackle this stuff quickly, people will exit this game, right? And as a Destiny fan, knowing how bad Destiny PvP was for a long while, with cheating and the hacks and the Trials of Osiris, one of the most competitive modes, just being terrorized by hacks. People buying accounts and they basically getting slapped on the wrist, make another account, come right back, no repercussions. Like Halo Infinite got to get on this immediately because these are things that will kill your game. So in their defense, I am happy they make the statement. It seems like the timeline is fairly fast. I mean, it's going to be, looks like February, whatever. But yeah, I feel for people because, hey, let's be honest, team battle, big team is a big deal, you know, and we got to get, last what I'll say, the cross-play matchmaking, bro. You've got to separate. I know you want the big pool, but you got to separate that base. You got to say, hey, controller guys, this is where you're going. You know, you choose to opt in, not where it's automatically opt in by default kind of a situation. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it's perfectly put. It really touches on everything that's kind of going wrong with it. And, you know, hopefully they can tie it together quickly because going through, I always think of Fallout 76, right? Where everything that could have been exciting about that game kept getting bumped back because they had to get their ducks in a row on a fundamental level. And that was the reason we waited so long for Halo Infinite, and it released in December. Was like, we had to get everything right, the core, the fundamentals. And when you see stuff like this, it's frustrating because you know, like, hey, we're waiting for season 2 for stuff that was a typical fundamental feature for Halo, like a co-op, certain modes being added in late. And they're doing a solid job balancing it all right. Like we saw Tactical Slayer get added. They've split up the playlist a little bit more to give you more offerings. I still don't know why there isn't a dedicated CTF one, given the fact that like I had like 3 different challenges, like return X amount of flags. I'm like, this is such a pain in the ass. So they realize like how long it takes to sit on the flag and return it. Like I need to get into more CTF games. This is still a problem for the game. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, the progression is fine. It's been band-aided in my opinion, but like this is something that continues to rear its head, and it's only going to get worse as we get deeper into the cycle. And I think the wake-up call for a lot of people will be season 2 coming in summer is now coming like August, and it's not the 6-month window that people were thinking. It's not going to be perfect. And I think because they're working on fixing so many things, they got a very big team there. So I feel like they could work it out where the timelines won't be disrupted. But if this gets bumped back, that's where people are really going to lose their shit, I think.
I will say this, again, as a person who plays these live service games, play these multiplayer games a lot, in their defense, they've been quicker than others in that space. Because listen, I told you, I've been playing Destiny, bro. They act like PvP didn't exist. They act like cheating didn't exist for like 2 years. It took a minute, and that base just, right? So, in their credit, they just, when they launched a month ago, I'm going to be nice for now, but February hits, end of January, February, like they've got to move because one thing about the base is they're not loyal. The next new shiny thing comes out, you're out and you don't come back. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I agree with you, where it is that serious, where they have to move very tight. They got a big team. So far, so good. They've been doing little band-aids here and there, but I agree with you. Full level changes, fixes. Otherwise, it could get ugly.
I agree entirely. All right, let's move on to our Game Pass pick of the week. Before we get into yours, Cog, we have a write-in from Joaquin Branche, who writes, "Gentlemen, first let me welcome you to 2022, and I hope that you guys hit the lotto and cure COVID this year, but I don't have an actual question, rather a suggestion for Game Pass pick of the week. So, over Christmas break, I discovered a game that completely enamored me, and I just had to share it with you guys. Generation Zero is a game that initially debuted on Steam and is now a Game Pass game from Systemic Reaction, which is the same team that had Second Extinction in early access on Xbox. Gen Zero is what you get when you mix The Forest, Fallout, and Skynet into a blender and serve. It's atmospheric as hell, with a post-apocalyptic Stockholm that is a constant thunderstorm and where Skynet is hunting you and you are trying to figure out just what the hell is happening. It'll leave you sweaty. It's an FPS open-world game made by the team that is under Avalanche Studios Group. And if you guys are of the belief that Xbox will eventually acquire Avalanche, I am, then this is a future Xbox team's game. And if you go a little further with me, if that were to happen, I believe Xbox would put them under Bethesda. So, Matty, this would be a Bethesda team. Anyways, love the show and hope you guys are safe and healthy. Thank you for the write-in, Joaquin. I could have sworn, I feel like I'm mixing this up with something. Doesn't Colin hate this game?
I feel like so too.
Yeah. I remember there was an episode of Sacred Symbols where this guy shit on Generation Zero. Like he tore it apart. I kind of want to check it out though, out of curiosity here. But I remember,
Yeah.
I think he was like big against this one. I got to check the Steam reviews on this.
Yeah, check the reviews on it. I remember it coming across our line from allordsgaming.net, and I
Got a
thought
4
the
out of 10
premise.
on IGN, 50% on Metacritic. Please continue.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I remember it coming across, and I thought the premise and the concept was interesting. You know, the robots in control,
Mostly
and
positive on Steam. Okay.
yeah, mostly positive now.
On Steam, yeah.
Right. So what I've heard, they started off rocky. Super rocky. Like it was kind of barren. People had a lot of issues, but I've heard they really stuck with it, took feedback, made good changes, and now the game is in a different state. So I do need to check it out, you know, since then, because the initial vibe I heard wasn't that good. But yeah, shout out to Joaquin. I'm going to check it out. I've heard it's really improved since.
It still seems spotty in these reviews, like
a
whole lot of variety. It seems like one of those try it for yourselves, and that's what Game Pass is all about. So don't let the reviews deter you. Joaquin has said the word, and I mean the vibe I'm getting to this game, post-apocalyptic open world with like mechs. It looks like pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the mechs are outside, like they out here killing it. Yeah, on some Skynet joint. I just want to know. I don't know if it has my curiosity is I don't know if it has the depth I need. You know, as far as just run, kill, to see what's going on and the atmosphere. But I want to make sure that there's other gameplay mechanics that's going to keep me hooked. And that was my initial concern with the game. When I first saw it, I thought the concept was cool, but I just got to see the execution and what else you're going to do in that world. So, but I'm willing to give it a shot and see what's going on.
Let's bounce it to you with your pick, though. The official pick of the week.
Yes, the official pick, man. I'm not going to put any drama behind it. Overcooked 2. Overcooked 2, y'all. I told y'all over the holiday, I took the Switch. And we went up, and I'm like, look, I need a local party game for some non-gamers to kind of like non-hardcore gamers to kind of give a shot and rock out, right? While we got some downtime. So having a ball, I'm like, man, this is so much fun. And making the recipes and arguing. This is late, and who didn't wash the dishes and this, that. So then I'm like, wait a minute. That's right, Game Pass got it, and part 2 is on it. Let me fire that bad boy up. Let's get the people over. Had a ball, man. Now you can toss the food at each other. It's absolutely hilarious. And then what I like, they attempt with the single player.
By the way, real quick, is it online co-op or is there?
I believe there is online co-op. I believe there is on. Don't quote. I gotta double check because I'll just test it local to be honest. But I believe there is online co-op. I believe there is.
Check.
But,
sorry.
Yeah, double check that for me because I didn't test that part, but I believe there is. But the thing about it, the single player part, you could actually try to play a single player, which I thought is kind of hilarious, where you can left bumper and then switch between both chefs and then so on and so forth. They attempt to have a story mode. It's a bunch of nonsensical stuff, but the game doesn't take itself seriously. It is an absolute blast with friends. This game is so much fun. It is pure hilarity. And then the quicker you get the meals, the recipes done, you get the faster tips. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just the chaotic, cooperative nature of Overcooked. Ultimate party game. If you are with friends, and if you are with friends that are non-gamers, simple controls, one button to pick something up and maybe another button to chop, and that's it. And then you're just moving stuff around, and it's just fun. And the game just gets progressively crazy. Overcooked 2, man. I'm an Overcooked guy now. I waited so long to try it. And I'm like, yo, I love this silly fresh. It's so stupid.
It's so fun.
It
is online co-op, by the way. I just looked. So if anyone wants to get friends together, just like you will eventually with Dying Light 2, you can play it with friends. With that said, I played Overcooked 1 for if anyone wants like an OG throwback Mr. Matty video. I used to do a series called Friendly Competition where it was me and 3 of my best friends, and we would get together and we had like scoreboards, rankings. It was like a high effort Let's Play series where we compete against each other. Like loser had to do like these stupid ass dares, and it was one of my favorite things we've ever produced. I'm really proud of it, but it never popped off as goes the passion projects on YouTube.
Of course.
And so one of the games we did play was Overcooked 1, and it was easily one of our most intense episodes because we're just like really like, what are you doing, man? Like, I need the buns, get the bun, like just screaming at each other, man. Yeah, it gets everyone talking, everyone gets involved. A really fun time. So I can imagine a sequel with online co-op getting anyone involved. That's gonna be a good time.
And that new toss mechanic on tossing the food is hilarious. I love it. Absolutely. It's so cool.
Go pick. All right. 5 questions to end out the show, and then we're out of here. Number 1, We got a lot of Star Wars questions in the end of this episode here that I'm really excited to dive into. First one comes from Bonaran. Hey, Dukes. So, the Star Wars movies love revisiting Tatooine. However, replacing the games on Series X, I've noticed the majority of the franchise visits Kashyyyk, The Force Unleashed, Battlefront, Republic Commando, Fallen Order, and KOTOR. The Star Wars universe is so vast, yet developers continue to pigeonhole. I think it's Kashyyyk, actually. I apologize. I say Kashyyyk, but that's what I heard in KOTOR. That's what I always ran with. I think it's Kashyyyk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep with that. To a plot device where we need to help the Wookiees, typically from slavery. From the old Republic to the new Republic, you'd think these Wookiees would have been helped out by now. Alas, future games will probably have us running the same plot on Kashyyyk. Overall, how do you guys feel in the stagnation of storytelling within Star Wars games? And Matty, how do you feel about the new additional writing for KOTOR Remake? I don't think Vonaran's actually doing what I think he's doing, but I had so many people when I think Screen Rant posted our KOTOR scoop in the last week, and it got like a ton of retweets and stuff, and mad people were like, yo, Matt, check this out, tagging me. I'm like, I'm the source, dog. read the damn article. Read the damn article. Right. But it was funny. And I don't know if Vonaran's doing that, but if he's not, the additional writing, I think, is good. I'm excited to see new content in my favorite world in games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cog, I gotta know, have you experienced these Star Wars games where you're feeling a similar fatigue that Vonaran is feeling with this particular planet in Star Wars?
I understand his point and concern. I don't have that feeling. The reason why I don't have feeling because I look at it from an overall standpoint that, let's be honest, a lot of these video games, they gotta force feed into the canon, and maybe Kashyyyk is the planet where they know this ain't gonna affect nothing in the created universe as much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's just where we are. So I see like the MCU do similar stuff like that, and they try to throw you into this area where, let's be honest, it's not going to really affect, even though they're saying it's canon, some of these, right? It's not going to affect the overall universe where they really try to. I think that's all it is. But to his point, though, yes, I would welcome more variety than just that area. So I do empathize with what he's saying. I just think it's just big writer stuff, big director, producer stuff where you got to go get the sign off from Disney. Where's your game going to be at? Okay, because we got the new we got Mandalorian, and we got to make sure that this doesn't conflict with this. And I just think it's continuity stuff.
Yeah. When it comes to Star Wars games running the same plot, this is carried even into current games. I think of Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Squadrons versus something like Jedi Fallen Order. I remember I had an exchange on Twitter with one of the lead writers for Battlefront 2 and Squadrons. And they were willing to take questions about their game. So one of my genuine questions was always the plan. I got to spoil Battlefront 2. Look, if you haven't played it, I got to be honest, you're probably not missing much. But if you haven't played the Battlefront 2 campaign, spoiler alert, please click off or mute or skip ahead 5 minutes. You'll miss what I'm trying to say here. I asked him, hey, why does Iden Versio turn? Why didn't you keep her on the bad side? Why was it so obvious? And his response to me, which I'm calling bullshit on, by the way, was, what if the intention was it was always supposed to be obvious? And I'm like, and then you play Squadrons, and it's the same exact narrative setup. The Imperial agent has gone rogue and is now a rebel. The same, to me, that's the tried and true Star Wars formula of like, you're always good at heart. Since the original trilogy, they ran it back again with Battlefront 2 and then Squadrons. That to me is the tried and true one. I think with Kashyyyk, when you look at each of those games, like Force Unleashed starts off with you as Darth Vader wreaking havoc on Kashyyyk. Like that's one of the coolest intros in a Star Wars game. Republic Commando, you come in a war effort. Like you are the what's the word I'm looking for? The reinforcements, right?
Right.
KOTOR, you decide which way Kashyyyk goes. Like I feel like they play with it in each of those games in like logical, fun ways that individualize them in their own eras of Star Wars. To me, the bigger issue is running back this same theme. And like even in something like Fallen Order, I love Fallen Order, one of my favorite Star Wars games. You're still the good guy, though. You're still the good guy, though. I'm looking for my Star Wars villain game, man. It's something Carrick and I beat the drum on a lot. Like, these games could really... Like, I think Rocksteady's onto something with Suicide Squad, and people afterwards are going to follow suit. Like, you're going to start to see more villain games, finally. because I love
Yes.
playing as heroes, and there's a long list of heroes we haven't played. I was like, I want to see a Daredevil game, yada, yada, yada.
Woo!
But like a Darth Maul game was in development. That got canceled. I think a Mandalorian game's a pretty obvious one. He's kind of a neutral gray character. He's got some grit to him. Let's start playing as not just always the good guy. It's why I love KOTOR, because you can be the good guy. You can also be the bad guy. So I think that's, to me, Von Rand, the bigger problem with Star Wars storytelling and gaming is really they keep running the plot devices from the original trilogy, because that's Star Wars. It's like, no, Star Wars is super big. Like we're going books, comics, movies, shows, games. Like there are so many facets you can explore and stories that you can experience. It's time to change it up on that front, to me personally. Thank you for the writing, Von Rand. Cog, this one we can both go off on.
Let's go.
Joseph Troxler writes in, hey, Dukes, question for both of you concerning tactical RPGs. I used to be into these style of games when I was younger, fell off for a while, and this year hope to get back in. Hearing you both discuss the style of games, which games would be a gentle step back into the genre? Thanks again for all you guys do. Looking forward to a year of exciting content from you two. Cog. Our bag here, tactical RPGs. Now, you've been talking a lot of XCOM, Phoenix Point. I think that's jumping into the deep end. What's a gentle step in to tactical RPGs?
What I'm about to say is it is gentle as far as mechanics. It just ramps up as far as difficulty. Okay. I gotta shout out Gears Tactics, man.
That's a good pick. Yeah, good pick.
I love Gears Tactics. I love Gears because I feel it really married the Gears universe into it in a unique way. And I love what they did. And this is why I like it. Yes, there are overwhelming odds of the locust, right? All right, that you have to deal with. But what's so cool, what makes it fun is, you start off the map, you have your things or assignments you have to do, either clear it or get supply control points or whatever, right? But what makes it fun is when you get an execution, you get to go again. So the game is rewarding this systematic killing so that you can now take over the odds. And then you got your Overwatch cone, you got that kind of stuff. And then you got your class systems with your support, you got the medic thing. Like they don't overcomplicate you with the systems. The only negative is that, in the beginning, the learning curve, you'll realize you are outnumbered and you better place your steps wisely so that you're always thinking ahead of the enemy. And the only negative I will say, for the love of God, with the mandatory side missions. Stop that.
It's not side content anymore, right? It's not side.
It ain't side if you're forcing me to do it as you go deeper. But one of the coolest stories, I still say to this day, the best cinematics, better than Gears 5, maybe not Hivebusters, but better than Gears 5. The story, you get a prequel story, one of the coolest characters in the universe, Kate's dad. Gabe is my guy. I'm a Team Gabe guy. Like, I love that. Michaela, that group, and it's a great story, great villain. Gears Tactics is, for me, Game Pass. Go check that out. What do you got, Matty?
I picked out 3. I went off the board with one that's not Xbox centric, but it's one that I feel really fits maybe what he's looking for. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man. I mean, this is not a kid's game. Like it is literally XCOM Mario, but there's a lot of interactivity with how you mobilize, and it's not as crunchy and difficult, where I think it is absolutely what you're looking for, like a gentle step into the genre.
Good point.
In every way.
Good choice.
And so I would really highly recommend looking at this one if you have a Switch. If you don't, however, I picked out 2 games from Game Pass.
Let's go.
First game for you, Joseph. This one's old school. I don't know how old you are, Joseph, but I picked this because for me, sometimes familiarity brings you back, right? And you're like, I remember when I did this on this game when I was younger or whatever. I picked Octopath Traveler, right? This is a 16-bit RPG made in Unreal Engine 4. Very traditional. This is a difficult game in some respects.
I was about to say, man. This
is a difficult game, okay? This is a difficult game, but I figured if you were into the genre and you're looking to get back in, you might want to, I don't know, kind of a back to basics, if you will. Like, this isn't going to do any crazy gameplay systems that you haven't seen before outside of the boost system, which is very easy to wrap your mind around. Kind of like what Cog said about Gears Tactics, though. It gets difficult over time. I was just playing it last night. The beginning areas are easy. It gives you enough time to familiarize yourself with the gameplay, with the concept, before they really start hitting you with like tough bosses and beating you over the head. Still, again, can be difficult. So be warned on that. But I think it's old school in its familiarity and setup where it might bring you back. If you haven't, then I picked another game on Game Pass that I will admit I have not played, but is recommended to me a lot. And it's one of those like,
oh, don't do you know the comment boys? How they say, oh God, how dare you recommend something that you?
I know, but this is one that I got to throw out there.
Let's go.
Because it just, I'm going off of looks here, Joseph. I'm being real with you.
Let's go.
Bug Fables.
Oh, you joy.
Yeah, apparently, this is a game that's very Paper Mario inspired. And it's, again, got those hard tactical elements, but it didn't look to be, from what I read and what I researched, I can't speak from firsthand experience like the first two. This is a game that is, it's beginner friendly. It's got depth. It's got a lot going on. It's a clear homage to Paper Mario, but it's very much its own thing. So I can't speak too in depth on that one, but give that one a look, at least see if it speaks to you. But my biggest suggestion is Mario and Rabbids. I adore that game. The sequel this year, clear the schedule. Like, dude, Nintendo's about to have me this year between Triangle Strategy and that game. Like, over. It's over.
Really good. Yeah, good pick. Good picks. Can't even go wrong with those.
All right. Well, let's move on to Golden Goose, who has another RPG related question. What's up, Duke boys? I was watching a video of the top 22 RPGs to look forward to this year. Included were games like Fable, Dragon Age 4, and others that I didn't see coming out this year. So what I'd like to ask you guys is, what is that RPG that has no chance of coming out this year, but you'd love to see come out? Much love. Keep up the great work. Oh, that's an evil laugh right there.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, man, yeah. I mean, no, but honestly, that was a joke one. But
I thought you were serious. I was like, that's a good answer.
It's a good answer, too, but I mean, it's a joke. But I got it, Matty. Forgive me. Mm-hmm. Forgive me. Mm-hmm. I hate to do this to you. We know damn well we ain't getting no Fallout. I need to know that war never changes. I am
so accepting that this series is dead that didn't even cross my mind.
yeah. Shout out to you who's been beating the jump. Shout out. Did you see Jez's tweet recently in regard to Fallout?
I did my little Captain America gif, like so.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it. You saw it, right? He's like, yo, it's unacceptable in his opinion. This is what Matty's been saying. Let me give you your real roses first, because you've been on this. Shout out to Jez. I love you, but Matty's been on the beast, has been on this before everybody. Like, it is unacceptable that this franchise, as big as it is going to have to wait past this generation if it goes cadence behind Starfield and we know Elder Scrolls, right? The next iteration. They have to figure out a way to have a dedicated studio. Fallout cannot miss this generation. It just can't. It just can't. It's egregious. It's too big. And Fallout 4's release date, sir, because you would know better than me. Last
November 10th, 2015, I want to say.
2015. Bro, like, it just can't. They've got to figure this out.
November.
Yeah. They've got to figure this out. And again, I'm not in that bag. Duke Ryan, I love you. I'm not in the bag where I'm saying, hey, pull these guys existing and take them off Obsidian. And I'm not saying that. But you're going to have to figure out a way to create a team, right? Or invest in a team and get guys in it and head it by one of the OGs of the, so that it has the proper respect and supervision. Fallout cannot go. I know it's unrealistic. We'll never get one, this year, but that was my choice. Like, yo, gotta make that right. You can't wait that long. And I think I told you this, like, VATS is one of my favorite systems in gaming.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It's nothing like it.
I love it. It's slowing in the brutality, and I can pick and choose and the limbs, and I love that. So
it's a sneaky good beginner's first-person shooter too with that system. Yes. Like, you can slow down and be like, okay. In Fallout 3 in New Vegas, it stops. In Fallout 4, it slows down. And I think that works just as much. So, like, I agree with you. VATS is great.
Yeah,
I did not think to pick Fallout. I probably would have, though. I couldn't decide between these two. Because I don't know. I need to put this clearly because now I'm a source. I don't know when the KOTOR remake is coming around. This would be my pick if it's listed for 2022, which I don't believe it is. And I think based on what we saw, it'll be some time. But I went with one that I hate to do this because usually you like to go off the board and not pick what someone's written in about. Golden Goose, though, you brought up Dragon Age 4.
Ooh.
This is morbid curiosity in a way. We're looking at a company that just posted a little newsletter at the end of the year saying, like, we want to make BioWare games this industry celebration type of event. It's not just another game. It's like, it's a BioWare game. And we see a lot of companies want a lot of things. Wanting is not the same as executing. I must always emphasize that. But this echoes, go back to an old Define a Duke episode. This echoes what I had reported, which I said, there's a hunger. There's a hunger from this team working on Dragon Age 4 that like wants the high score. They want to be the game. And while what we're hearing with the development story is not indicating what will be the high score, like development's always tough, things change. But I'm talking about like Avengers like pivot where it's like, we're single player. Yeah, that. But they committed again to single player stuff. I just want to lay my eyes on this game because the initial prototype for Dragon Age 4 before it was changed to multiplayer and now back to single player, which I imagine would pivot it back to that original single player vision, was a 30-hour game with lots of choices and consequence. And I cannot say enough how much that BioWare is needed nowadays. Like, that is golden BioWare. Not this, I like Inquisition to some extent, but not this fucking 80-hour adventure, not Andromeda's 90-hour event, and Anthem's live service shit. Enough. You brought back Legendary Edition, and Gary McKay himself said in his post, it was great to see the reception to that. You know what people want now. You know what people want. It's time. And I'm excited to see Dragon Age 4 in a morbid way because I'm like, oh, this could be bad. But
I miss it.
But I exactly. Like, Dragon Age has been this up and down roller coaster for me. Like, Origins is the peak of the mountain. 2, it's like, if you're a lore junkie like me, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty sick when you go back to it. And the Inquisition is like, man, when we're getting main story stuff, when you get the Trespasser, like, this is good BioWare shit. But between that and the filler content, it's like, nah, this ain't it. So
Inquisitor.
Yes, the Inquisitor. I mean, even that, though, like sitting on the throne, making the choices, like, do you throw someone in a dungeon or not? Like, there's a lot of cool moments in Inquisition. It's just, there's so many gaps between those. It's frustrating. Yeah. So with BioWare claiming they're going back and their desire to want to be like the RPG company, right? And I think like you go back to like what Spiders, who made Greedfall, said, where they went, we want to fill the gap that BioWare left behind. I'm hoping they have a Michael Jordan, and I took that personally type moment here. Like, okay, you want to be us? Get in line.
Let me show you why you're not.
Yeah. That's what I'm going with. I don't think it has a chance of coming out this year. I hope it doesn't come out this year. I want them to take their time with it. But I really want to, at least this year, lay eyes on it for sure.
Love it. Good pick. Strong.
Let's go into a conversation with Anthony C. Dukes, hope 2022 is treating you well so far. As we ring in the new year, I have a question regarding everyone's favorite galaxy far, far away. As we have Star Wars games announced, including Eclipse, Fallen Order sequel, and KOTOR remake, as well as the Switch/mobile exclusive Hunters and the, as of yet, untitled open world game from Ubisoft Massive, are Star Wars games finally in a good place again? It seems there's like it seems like there's a nice variety of games for different playstyles, and I wouldn't be surprised to hear even more about it at the upcoming Star Wars Celebration event in May or E3. What about you, Dukes? Are Star Wars games back in a big way? Hope you have a getting Force lightning to the face in the name of unlimited power kind of day. Yeah, this is a great part.
Unlimited power. Love that one. Look, I think what it's showing is that the interest is there, and if you respect the lore and the narrative, and you present things well, there's an audience. There's an audience, man. And for me, I'll be honest. Look, KOTOR is one of the GOATs. I'm never gonna, that's just, we can't even, that's in its own category, right? So for me, I look at the one that got me to say, okay, you know what, you can do a good single player. For me personally, was the Fallen Order. Like, I was just like, okay, and a little bit of Dark Souls and a little, okay, a little wall running. I remember when we saw that game debut. I got a chance to play that game early behind the scenes. Yeah, that was one of my big E3 moments. I remember we got a chance to work with Respawn behind the scene. The first time seeing it, I'm like, oh, y'all got one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna resonate. So it's showing, and you see the KOTOR remix coming. They got stuff cooking. All I need, man, this is just selfishly for Cog, because again, I'm casual Star Wars lore guy. I know the basics, I know that stuff, but the one for me, I need someone to grab this Mandalorian French. I need to hear that theme song ringing off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I needed someone, Xbox, get on the phone, this is the one. This is the way. This is the way. Get it, please. People want this. Grogu, the whole thing. Like, come on, and I think that will be another slam dunk if it's with the right studio handling it. And but I think it's fair to say that they're back. What's you are the Star Wars guy, the resident.
I'm honored to be called that. It's tough for me to say, right? I think we're heading in the right direction.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We got to really take an honest look, Anthony, at the state of Star Wars games, right? Battlefront 2 is a great bounce back story, but I actually think they cut the life support on that game too soon. I think that they stopped supporting that when it was really rolling. I forgot how many million players joined that game when they put it for free on Steam, or I'm sorry, Epic, but it was a real testament to like people were just hearing about this game and how good it was. But Battlefront 2 launched in a not great state monetarily. Battlefront 1 was bad. Just not, I usually don't go that route, but that was just a hollow ass game, especially compared to its predecessors from the early 2000s.
Right.
It really wasn't until we saw Fallen Order that we saw a glimmer of hope, which, by the way, was when it had EA publishing, but it was Respawn who has the ability to stiff arm EA and go like, hey, I'm running to the end zone here. Like, you're not going to stop me. So
exactly,
it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, well, we got to wait till Respawn's ready. I thought Motive's efforts with Squadrons was encouraging on a VR front. Like, I thought that was a really immersive, fun game to play. Story-wise, you've already heard my thoughts on them.
Yeah.
Now we got Ubisoft. KOTOR Remake, as much as I'm excited, I'll be the first to put the fraud alert on myself. Like, I am stoked for this game, but the reasonable side of myself says remain skeptical. This is Aspire, who has only done ports. They're now diving into the deep end with a AAA exclusive title. It's a big difference here. So the reasonable side of myself says remain skeptical, but I am stoked for that. Fallen Order sequel, like reasonable excitement there. We're talking about a proven studio. They've shown their flexibility. Let's do it. Eclipse is an interesting one. This is kind of an anomaly, right? Another big pivot. We're going from Detroit Become Human like narrative choices to rumored to be open world with those types of choices and actual gameplay across multiple characters. Ambitious.
Very ambitious.
I think we got a lot of good ideas on the table here. But for us to start saying like, hey, that era of KOTOR, Republic Commando, Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, Force Unleashed, et cetera, to say like, hey, we're there. We're not. We are not there.
Pumped brakes.
Yeah, we're not there yet. And don't get me wrong, during that, I'm sorry, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, got to throw that out there, Jedi Knight, Starfighter, a lot of games, Empire at War, the PSP Battlefront games. There was a golden era of Star Wars games in the early 2000s. The tie-in games like Episode 3 on Game Boy and DS is one of the best side scrollers you can play. And I say that as you can see with my shirt, Mega Man fan. I'm just letting everyone know, like, we're getting there with some good ideas, but like, I need a Battlefront 3 with Galactic Conquest. Like, that's when you're really going to start to catch my attention. Like, we're back. Like, we're looking at the old era and how we can do it better. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. But we're on the right track. And if these products end up pretty good, we'll size this up again, Anthony, and see where we're at.
Yeah.
All right, we kind of answered this last question here.
Yeah, we did.
Kremlin writes in, though, let's give the kudos. Hey, boyos, these next couple of months are going to be a little dry for Xbox. And by the way, this write-in came before a Stalker 2 delay. So imagine where Gremlin's at right now. Yeah. But not so much for Game Pass. I'm curious, though, do you think we can see another Outriders-type Game Pass announcement for the upcoming months to tide gamers over until the next big Xbox announcement? Personally, hey, I didn't edit this one. I'd like to see like 2 come to Game Pass. What would you like to see? Have a back starts hurting for no reason kind of day.
Yo, he read the mind. Yeah, he listen, he predicted
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like that's what we talk about all, for the most of this episode of Duke. Like, what are they gonna do? Matty said Dying Light 2 perfectly. It fits that template. I'm with Gremlin. Like, they have to have another Outriders kind of a moment where you go, oh wow, they snatched that. That's gonna be day and date third party game exclusive. Not exclusive, but in the Game Pass. Yeah, I feel it's coming, and it has to. It just has to. It has to, because it ain't as much as I gonna play Rainbow Six Extraction. That I have my own. That's not the move the needle kind of situation. You need a move the needle situation. So yeah, hopefully it's Dying Light 2. What's the release date tentatively for Dying Light 2?
February 4th. So we would get an announcement this month if it were to happen.
That would be the one to target. That would be the one to target, bro.
Yeah. I'm looking at the release calendar for January and February, and I'm looking at some other games because I'm like, how hard do they want to go, right?
Yeah.
They got Total War Warhammer 3 on PC. That is day one Game Pass, as we learned months ago.
Yes.
That was a really early announcement for that. Edge of Eternity, I believe that's going to be on Game Pass. So they've got some games, right? I think they need a big one. And then I'm looking at March. Obviously, I'm doing this for the entertainment of the conversation, but hear me out.
Let's go.
Let's check the temperature, Cog. What are you feeling about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands? What are you feeling about that one? I mean,
I like it, but like, we moving the needle with it though? Are we shaking the ground with Tiny Tina though?
Are we shaking the ground with okay? Hear me out on this one. I just had a great idea.
Let's go.
Hear me out. Okay. This game's coming to Xbox. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. The game from Team Ninja.
The Team Ninja
Final
game.
Fantasy. Dude. A little punchback? A little punchback?
Little jab, but who's involved with the studio, sir?
Pay him up. Pay him up.
Well, they are mercenaries. I mean,
yeah, right.
It's not without the realm of.
I view them like mob bosses. How much you paying?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
How much you paying? Because these guys, Tommy.
Like what they're going to do is they're going to entertain Xbox and be like, oh, we're definitely interested in bringing Final Fantasy Origin to Xbox. We'll talk soon. Phil leaves the room. PlayStation. I was offered $1 million for this. How much you paying? Right, like immediately. That's how I view Square. Like they're right off the bat. So I'm just floating out there the idea, just for the sake of conversation, of course.
No, I like it.
Let's double up this spring, maybe. Really set the precedent. Put on the heat.
Set the precedent. Yeah, put the heat on. Maybe get two bangers inside the service. We're not going to be opposed to it for sure.
Yeah, I'm just peeking it out here. Let's see here. April. April's nothing else. Now it's been delayed, right? We got 13 Sentinels on Switch. Yeah, it's looking like there's slim pickings on the big front on the front of big games, which may cause that price to go up. We didn't really talk about that, but
that is true too. The other side of it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Gremlin, we appreciate that write-in. Cog, what a fun episode this one was. That was a good time.
This was fun. This was a good one. We had hit everything. It's like, I'm trying to what else? I'm thinking of the DD, so much that we talked about that was golden.
Everything.
Oh man. It's everything. Man, it was so many. We had game thing, we had the mercenary thing, we had the real thing, you had the stalker thing. I don't even know. It's so much. I'll let you pick what the vibe.
I was feeling like everything DD. It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was everything. Yeah, everything DD. That's great. Yeah. We had a little bit of everything. Action-packed, jam-packed topic episode.
Absolutely. So, to those of you who got this deep, you want to let us know. We admire and appreciate the participation. You can tweet at G27status and at Lord Cognito, the hashtag everythingDD. Let us know what you thought of the episode and that you actually completed it, because we know now. Got this deep, unless you skipped ahead the whole episode. At that point, come on, what are you doing? You can also leave in the comments if you don't want to go on Twitter. You can also throw it in the Patreon comments, whichever works for you. We just like to see how many of you get this deep in our very long shows. With that, we hope you all enjoyed. Cog, any closing thoughts to round out this episode?
Nah, it's a fun one, man. This is a fun one. We're kicking off the year again. This is going to be a fun year, y'all.
It is. I'm very
This is going to be a fun year. I am really pumped for everything that's going on with this industry. And we kind of getting a lot of news already. I didn't think we'd be packed. I thought it'll be an ease in news year.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, monster news. It's this going on, that's going on, this delay,
Delays,
moving and shaking. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So this is going to be a fun, man. I can't wait to see a lot of questions.
100%. So we're looking forward to interacting with all of you throughout all of that. And with that, have an all right rest of your week. And we'll catch all of you next week for episode 55 of Defining Duke, where Xbox will announce that Dying Light 2 is a part of the Game Pass program.
Matty said it. Insider here.
All right, ladies and gents, take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.